p.m. 3:02 Central Standard Time, according to the Tower of the Friendly Mercantile. The tuner is on 97.1 The Freak. And this is the Downbeat. Warmest greetings, freaks and freaky chicks. I would be Mike Reiner speaking to you today from the Diamond Factory. Alongside, here he is down there. Look at him. All hunched down. Acting like he's actually doing something. It is Dingu.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
The Knox City Knocker.
The Knox City Knocker, the Terlingua comic.
That's right. It's all coming back to you, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Actually, I didn't forget it. I just didn't know if you wanted to be known by that anymore, by that sobriquet.
Everything new is old today.
Everything new is old today. None more so than me. Mike Sirois.
My man.
Also here.
Yes, sir. I'm the fish out of water here.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
For a change.
Yeah. It's all good.
But actually, this is not about us.
It's about that kick-ass new theme song is what it should be about.
That is what it's about.
A little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit different. Wouldn't mind hearing that again.
We will.
Some other time, some other place.
Okay.
But look who we have here. For the first time in I don't know how many years, hell has frozen over. Same place, same time. It is Greg the Hammer Williams.
Hammer.
Sounds to me like somebody didn't get custody of the theme song.
It's not the only thing we didn't get custody of. Actually,
that's pretty good.
I didn't think I would ever have a use for it again, but, you know, things work out in crazy ways in this world. Besides, we got Dingu now. He's good like that.
Yeah, man.
You all right?
Well, I'm about to vomit.
Why?
I've never been this nervous in my life.
Yeah?
I'm really about to throw up.
It'll all come back to you.
I hope so.
It'll be fine.
I hope so.
It'll be fine.
Tell us about that. How's your last couple days been?
Because you know how embarrassing that would be? Because, you know, last time we were on, everybody didn't have a cell phone filming everything you do.
That's right. And now they do.
And I'd hate to have me throwing up on
a row of engagement rings.
Yes.
You have to pick out pieces of Coulter's barbecue out of the...
the Greggo discount applies to this row here.
Engagement rings, the most inexpensive of which probably cost about $70,000 or so.
Right.
But yes, we are all here, and we would like for you to come join us at the Diamond Factory today, because this is going to be a normal show. But we have the Hammer here, and we're all set to catch up with him and connect with him again.
Whatever you need to know.
I'm looking forward to this,
Whatever
man.
you need to know.
I'm looking forward to it.
You didn't know you were looking forward to it until what? When did you? So first of all, Monday was when Mikey, you came up with this idea, right?
Yeah.
And
well, when I presented
you
it,
presented it to Michael.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute, Mike. You came up with this idea?
Yeah.
God, I'd have loved to have been there when you broached it with him.
Yeah, well, that's what I was nervous about.
I'll tell you what happened.
I'd have loved to have been there with that conversation.
When he broached it with him, from the time he presented the idea, after 20 minutes it expired, you were booked to be on here today.
Really?
It took that much thought.
Ooh.
I ran it by Groobs, and he said, no way in hell Mike will say yes to this. And then I'm like, all right. So I let it simmer for a few days, and I asked Danny.
Yeah, he asked me about it, and I didn't think there would be any way. And then we were just sitting around on Monday before the show, and I said, hey, Mikey, did you ever present your idea to Michael? And he said no. And I go, would do it now. And he goes, you serious? You want to do it now? And he said, what if we got Greggo back on the last day of the ratings book, pump it up, get him in here and just have a nice Hardline reunion. And Mike thought about it for what? Maybe 20 seconds and then asked me if I still had your phone number.
At first.
And we didn't need to look on our phones because we remembered it.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first.
I don't even know.
At first, I kind of recoiled the way I'm conditioned to do when it comes to you.
I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it if I were you.
But the more I thought about it, and it didn't take long. I mean, after about, 10 seconds or so, I was going, yeah, why not? Why not? And one thing led to another, and boom, you were booked, and here we are.
What do you think, Greg, 2 days ago when your phone rang? And does it say Mike Reiner? What does it say when he calls you?
No, here's the deal. I didn't have his new phone number. And, I get all these numbers because somebody is obsessed with my auto insurance and warranty. Somebody's obsessed with it. And they call every day. And so I just don't answer my phone.
Yeah.
And so for some reason I picked it up and it was 1310. I thought, God, who's got that phone number?
Everybody now.
Hello.
It didn't even occur to me. And so then I thought, okay, they left a message, let me hear about this. And it was Ryan's. I'm like, God, whoa. And it really floored me. I really had to sit down. I mean, you think I'm kidding you?
Yeah.
I could feel it in my legs, and I had to sit down.
I heard him leave the message.
Okay,
That's groups.
Nice for groups.
You remember groups.
Yeah. All right, there is Act 1 of the Devil's Work today.
I'm back in the saddle.
And so then I called him, and we had the conversation. Y'all heard it. And then Ron's like, okay, well, I'll see you Wednesday. Okay, hung up, and I'm like,
What I just agreed to.
I got to call somebody, man. I got to let somebody know. I got to let somebody know this. And then I'm like, no, Reiner told me not a word to nobody. So I couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And so I haven't had a moment's sleep since then.
Is that right?
Not a moment. Not a moment.
Just nervous, apprehensive, concerned, everything?
I've never, look at me.
Yeah.
I've never been this nervous in my entire life.
You know what Greggo does now that's different?
What's
he
that?
drinks coffee.
Coffee.
He said he thinks about me every day.
morning.
When he makes a cup of coffee, he looks at it and goes, coffee.
Every morning. You think I'm kidding you? I live by myself, and I get up at 4:30 every morning. So
Right.
about 5 o'clock, I'm screaming in my apartment, coffee.
Mike thinks it's weird that anybody would drink coffee after like 7 a.m.
I think it's weird that anybody drinks coffee, period. But each to his own.
Yeah, it's,
If that's what floats your boat, then you drink coffee.
well, that's what
You
rehab.
drink coffee, Mikey?
Yeah, I do. I
Okay.
do. Usually in the mornings. But
God, once again, I'm the outsider.
You learn.
I must be the only guy in the world that doesn't.
will you have a nice
I don't
coffee
either,
with us
Shoopy.
one of these days?
Yeah, a little coffee clutch.
Yeah.
What do you need, Groobs? Less what?
No, I was just saying I don't drink coffee either, so I'm standing in
There you go.
You
solidarity
don't,
with
Shoopy?
Shoopy. I do not.
All right. Once again, Shoopy and Shoopy, united.
So I know it's probably everything, but can you pinpoint the source of that apprehension and nerves? Was it seeing Mike again, being on the air again, being just on a microphone where everybody can hear you?
Okay.
I mean, what do you think it was?
All right. First of all, I'm very embarrassed right now because I'm very embarrassed on how things turned out and how I did things and how I conducted myself. And so, getting out and seeing other people, I kind of went underground for a while. And I've still
Boy,
got
you
that,
sure have.
I still got that embarrassment. And just apprehension of coming out here and, wanting to do good and wanting to make things right and just, if you really want to know the truth, have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanting to have a good time. And it just, it makes me nervous. I promise you, I've never ever been nervous going on the radio. Even the first time I went on the air when I was at WBAP or the
Really?
ticket. Yeah, I've never, not one time. Because why? I mean, why would you be nervous? But right now, like I said, I'm about to.
About to throw up.
I hope I don't have another heart attack.
Thanks, Debbie
well.
Downer.
How many heart attacks have you had?
Two.
When was the last?
They were within an hour of each other.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
Doesn't that count as one, or that's two separate? That does
was-
count as two?
2 events.
I'm gonna count it as two.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I will tell you this: when you're in the emergency room and they're just kind of fingering around and doing this and taking their time and coming in there, when they find out you got a heart attack, they'll get with it.
Really?
They'll get with it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll get the cords and the
Now, did you get the stent or surgery, or did they rip you open? What happened with all that?
I had 2 stents.
Uh-huh.
But I had one way before then, and then I had to have another one in the emergency room when I had between the heart attacks.
Right. Now, was that like family history thing? Did your daddy have a bad ticker? Or?
Yes, my dad had open heart surgery when he's 55, and I'm 62 now, so I'm on borrowed time, and
you're a shade out of your teens.
no. But I used to feel better till then. I mean, the day that I had the heart attack, I was in the best shape of my life. I mean, I was riding my bike. I live in Grapevine now, and that place is awesome as far as riding trails and everything.
Yeah.
So I was riding my trail, riding around, did 40 miles, and felt okay, and went to bed and woke up about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, God, man, I really hurt. And so I just kind of rolled over and it started hurting more. And then
like,
it really
where? Chest pains?
Yes, chest pain. I thought, man, this is chest pain. I better get to the hospital. So I drove myself to the hospital.
Right, on your bicycle.
I wish that would have been a better story. But no, I was in my car. And they took me in there and said, well, you've had a heart attack.
I wonder how they know. Do they just like EKGs?
I don't know.
Can know that happened before?
And you'd already had it, so it had ended?
Well, that's...
And then you had the next one when you were in the hospital.
Yeah, I mean, right there.
Golly.
Right there. Right there. But you know what? If you're going to have a heart attack, have one in the emergency room.
That's smart. That's true.
Have it in the emergency room.
Better than like at a Dairy Queen, right?
Yeah.
So when you had the second one, did you know what was going on?
No,
or did they know what was going on?
They knew immediately.
Oh, they did?
They knew immediately because they had me hooked up to everything.
Yeah.
And so, I had that, and they're like, oh, you had another heart attack. I'm like, what? And then they couldn't give you any pain medicine until they knew what was going on.
Get y'all stable.
So I'm just sitting there.
Did it hurt?
Yes.
I was about to ask the same thing
It-
because I fear it. I mean, is it pain or just fear that you're feeling?
Man, it's just it really feels like that a truck just pulls right up on your chest and just parks. And
Like you got a big, heavy thing on there?
Yeah. And then you'll have some shooting pains every once in a while. I don't recommend it.
Now you do stuff to prevent that, like getting scanned and getting all your blood work and making sure you're on top of it.
I really don't want to say this because I don't want to open up a can of worms.
You don't eat an entire hog every day anymore, right?
No. Dutch.
Did you go out and catch yourself?
Yeah. But I all this happened in May, and I'd had a full physical in February.
Yeah.
And everything was perfect. It was
Right.
perfect, and I was in perfect shape.
Yeah.
And then that hit.
Wow.
Now I don't have the genetics on my side.
Right.
So that could be one thing, or I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I am totally vaxxed and totally boosted.
Oh boy.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, boy.
So there is that.
Yeah.
So how's your health now? I know it's been because I look at you as sort of a mythic character. I started the ticket the same month. Yeah, I really do because it's like the legend of the hammer. I heard it for many years, but we didn't interact. But one time, you were fishing around for credentials in the ticker room, and I was doing weekend tickers, and I kind of turn around and you pop in there, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Mike Sirois," and you're digging in the credential drawer, and you just whip your head at me, and you just went, "Greg Williams." And then looked right back down and got your credential and left. And that was literally our first entire
Let me tell you something. He couldn't have cared less.
Oh, I picked that up real quick. The weekend ticker guy was not going to stop down his mission. But yeah, I know there's been health concerns and weight fluctuations. You look great right now. How's your health right now?
Well, it's I'm just tired all the time.
Yeah.
With the exception of that, I'm because I can't work out. Because I'm just tired all the time.
But so am I.
It's tough. It's rough when you get 60. But otherwise I'm fine. I mean, I've started walking a little bit.
That's good.
I can't run, but I've started walking. And
As long as you're doing something, eating well,
well, I'm not doing that.
What, you still?
But then I
still
never
eating
have.
15 Whataburgers?
No, but I can eat 10.
No, you cannot. I was there when you tried. You made it through like 1.5.
How much?
10
How much? Right here.
Whataburgers.
How much? Right here.
Oh man,
We don't want number 3.
Wasn't that his
at the
big
Diamond
claim? Was
Factory.
it 10 Whataburgers?
Hey, but you know what?
I just remember 15 tomatoes and free Papa Shop.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I knew,
Absolutely, you bitch.
All right, what's that one? I need to know these stories.
From a Joe Willie's live spot. That was one of the first out-of-context drops ever
And
pulled by the
it's
Devil
so-
Expo.
it's so wrong, and
Yeah.
I've had to live with it forever.
Yeah, he was...
I said, you betcha.
Because Mike was talking, if you want 15 tomatoes on your hamburger, by God, you can get them. And Greggo goes, absolutely, you betcha. And
That's what he
cut
meant,
off.
that's what he meant to say.
Yeah, he ran the words together so it sounded like absolutely you betcha. But when you isolated it, just sounded like in the middle of a live spot for whatever reason. Greggo decided to call Mike a bitch.
Actually,
Absolutely, you bitch.
he did. He said, "Absolutely, you bitchin'."
Speaking of which,
Well, look at this.
the original devil. What's up, Expo? Look at this.
Expo in the house.
Kevin, the Great Expo, everybody.
Yeah.
My leader.
Unbelievable. Look at that guy. You look exactly the same.
But he can take that cap off, and it'd be jarring.
Oh, yeah?
Isn't it, Rhymes?
Oh,
Isn't that what
it is jarring.
All right, well, explain who that is to those of us who are new listeners or don't remember everything for 30 years.
We were very fortunate on the show because we went through a long string of board ops. And board ops are very, very essential to the show, as we would learn over time. I don't think I thought that much of them at first, but over time, we learned that a good board op who is really in tune with the show and could think along with you and try to guess successfully where the show was going next and find the appropriate drop or sound effect or whatever.
What about
Those
ham?
guys were invaluable. Those guys were invaluable. And Expo is the guy, Kevin Fox, the real name there. He was the guy who really took that whole concept and the entire milieu of the board op, if you will, to the next level.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, when Expo started, he still had to find the carts.
Yeah.
We're
It's
still
like
on
little
cart.
8-track
And
cassettes.
so he would think, oh, I need that drop, and he'd have to find a cart and put it in there and hit. So we were usually a little bit late.
And he got the nickname Expo because you started originally as an intern, is that correct? And he's good at mathematics. And
Yes,
Mike called him
he has a
Expo,
math degree.
The exponential intern.
Yes,
that was his nickname.
He became Kevin the Exponential
Kevin.
Intern, shortened to Expo,
On the second day,
on the second day.
Mike named me the exponential intern, and nobody wanted to say exponential. So by day 2, somebody had figured out, oh, Expo will work.
And I guarantee you, I already hate having him on the air because he remembers everything.
I remember most things.
You remember everything. I know you do. That there won't be anything up here that we talk about today that you don't remember and can't correct us on if we wander off track.
As long as I was still there.
As long as you were still there. And you were there for how long?
7 years?
Yeah.
God, it seems like it was so much longer than
I've been
that.
gone. Next month, it'll be 21 years since I left.
That is unbelievable.
Wow.
So you and I only worked together for like a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. I feel like I worked with Kevin for, seriously, 15 years.
Well, you were a listener.
I know, but you're also...
You were around at things.
Yeah, but you're also your legend kind of, your reputation precedes you, that your status in the lore of the ticket is just bigger than maybe your duration at the radio station.
That could be, and it's all
Yeah.
thanks to these two guys.
But you were the guy, like we were just talking about. I don't know if you heard it or not, but when you pulled the absolutely you betcha drop and edited that down, if I remember correctly, that was the first time, at least on the ticket, that a drop had been pulled from a conversation and played out of context and used and weaponized against the person that said it.
I think that probably was the first time, which is the good news. The bad news is it wasn't me. It was
Well, who
Dark
did it?
Cloud Gen X Davey.
Davey did that.
Davey
Really?
did that.
You're kidding.
I did not know that.
Wow.
Davey's the one that did that. There was a little gap in there where I was only doing the last hour of your show and all of Coop's show, and Davey had the first part of your show before my shift got extended to be all afternoon.
Man, I do not remember that at all. Do
neither.
you?
No.
You've been
not at
accredited
all.
for
I
that
thought it was-
forever.
Should've
Yeah,
kept it
you have.
Should have kept it, Expo.
You know, we actually
Yeah, you should have rolled with that one.
we told this same story at the 25th anniversary event in one of the side rooms. I had to
I'll be
explain
damned.
that it wasn't me.
Damn.
Yeah, but you perfected it.
Well,
You took that.
Look.
You took that concept and ran with it, and that's how you became the devil.
when we moved
The
from
Devil Expo.
when we
Yes.
moved from Mockingbird to Maple, I got a shiny new toy,
Yes.
and that was the game changer.
So explain that. We were talking about how used to audio was played on an individual cartridge. They called them carts.
Right.
Just like an old 8-track.
just think
Yeah, they
8
look
tracks.
like 8-track tapes, and you had and on the reel inside the tape, you would have one audio element, and it could be an entire commercial for.
Yeah, they varied in length. They were
Yeah.
like 8 seconds
Or-
or 12 seconds or 30 seconds.
Or if it was just a fart, it would be like a half a second.
Yeah.
And you'd pop that thing in and hit a button, and it would play that sound, and then you'd have to take it out and put another one in. But then when you moved to Maple, they had this automated kick-ass system that had just thousands and
Right.
thousands.
the first one
of
was
drops.
called. It was an Enco. Was the name of it? Was the brand name of it? I think.
And it's still the best
Yeah.
user-friendly system that's ever been made.
And I
Hell
could make,
yeah, it
we
is.
had touch screens, and so I could just make 48 on a make 24 or 48 on a screen. Groobs may remember that part better than me. And you could just you set them up however you wanted to. You could move them around. I color coded them. Ryan's was light blue. Greggo was purple. Can't remember what color you were.
I think Danny was orange.
That's right. Danny was orange. The themes were black.
See, if I would have known that, I would have gone in there at night and nuked all light blue.
Well, but that's not how you. It's not all you would have done was taken the button away. I could have easily replaced the button.
If I'd have known, I'd have gone in there and switched all the stickers around.
We did that with carts. We actually did that with carts a few times, and so
You'd sabotage carts.
yeah, we would sabotage user carts, and then they would try to turn around and sabotage our carts.
Yeah. Just mislabel stuff so they play
Yeah,
the wrong thing.
so there was a stay hard cart from Mike, or maybe it was you. It was probably Gordon. Somebody going stay hard.
Yeah, that was
We used
Gordon.
to play at the end of the show,
Yep.
like at the end of the rollout.
Yeah, that
And
was
one
Gordon.
day I hit the button, and it said "Stay gentle."
Ah,
They had
yes.
changed the label on me. So then we started to get into wars of changing the labels on carts between the afternoon and the morning shows.
Crazy times.
Expos here. And the hammer.
Like I say, hell has frozen over and you guys are here for it.
What's next? Followell's going to walk in and start demanding to do tickers? Maybe try to get in a fight with somebody with an umbrella?
Or with me over a tape machine.
Yeah.
Can Pete Stein be far behind?
Saw him not too long ago.
You did?
He may be here. Who knows? It's going to be a crazy day.
I
We
just
have
like saying,
no idea what's going to happen.
I just like saying his name, Pete Stein.
Well, the Hammer is here. Expo is here. Daniel is here. Shale is over there waiting in the wings. Maybe we'll hear from him again today. Maybe we won't.
It's
Who knows?
his show.
His show.
I know, but hey, on this day, anything goes.
Love it.
So, yes, you've got the Downbeat here on The Freak. Oh, yes, 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 yes. This is the Downbeat here on The Little Freak. Look, we're doing the best we can with this thing. We don't have all the things that all these big, well-established stations have. We're only 2 months in. We're probably all going to get fired tomorrow, but we're doing the best we can.
Huh,
And we appreciate-
that sounds very familiar, Ron.
Doesn't it, though?
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah,
And
it
from
does.
what I understand, this is very much like the early days. Only having been here a little over a week, talked about the underdog status and how the ticket played that up for so long, the little ticket and all that.
I guarantee you,
That's what this must feel like, right?
Yeah, we're doing it all
the
again.
beginning? Yeah.
I guarantee you, I had more fun in the first 2 years of the ticket than I did the rest of the time combined. When we were, the producers had to write down who was on the call
phone?
and take it to another room. That's
crazy.
The only thing we had, computer, there was no computer. We had one typewriter. Right?
Yeah,
One typewriter.
that's right.
And, I had so much fun there.
It was us against the world.
It was. It was. And believe me, those wagons were circled.
So it's interesting that you bring up the early days because that's something Mikey and I. Now, I've heard these stories. A lot of the information it seems like it's fragmented over the years where you'll get part of a story here and part of a story there. But I know, Mikey, you're really interested in what led, not necessarily the early days of the ticket, but how did these guys meet each other?
Yeah.
What was your life like before running into Rhines, and then that period of the concept of the station and then getting it running? I guess maybe kind of start with before you and Mike met, and I want to talk about that too. But what were you doing leading up to that for like the couple of years prior to you and Mike actually meeting?
Well, I was working at WBAP at the time.
Right.
And
you were Galloway's producer,
yes,
right?
yeah, and I went out and chased tape and did all that.
Right.
And that's how I met Rhines, because he had a similar job and he was at all the events. I mean, we covered, it's not like it is now where you got 15 reporters, going out to game. You have one.
But there couldn't be two more unlikely guys that would end up being paired together. What was the thing that drew you dudes together? Was it just the common love of baseball, or just the fact that you were in proximity with one another all the time and just got to talking, or what was the attraction initially?
Those were probably the two biggest things
right
there. The fact that we were always around each other and we liked baseball. And I was very amused and very taken by him when I first met him.
and same question for him. What was it about this guy?
Well, you had to remember that I listened to Rhines when he was on the Zoo.
Okay, so he had already somewhat of an established persona.
He was kind of a larger than life hero figure of mine.
Okay,
and we were in the back of the bus. I meant to say press box. But the auxiliary press box at old Arlington Stadium,
which we called the back of the bus.
Yeah.
Because they didn't like spares like us.
No.
In the real press box with the big guys, so they shunted us way down the first base line out into right field to I don't know what they were thinking when they built that thing, because
they weren't thinking.
Nobody ever used it for anything. But that's where they put spares like us.
And then we just created an atmosphere where everybody wanted to be in the back of the bus.
You guys were probably back there just cutting up.
Oh.
You were doing the ticket before it was
That's
the ticket.
exactly what we were doing.
We were.
Yep.
We were.
I mean,
the very bedrock of the ticket was formed there.
Right.
Yep.
And that was you two and Junior as well?
And Craig Miller.
Junior was around.
And then there were a lot of minor players around, too.
Yeah, others would, drift in and out every now and then. Like, it just all depended on who was covering a game on a given night.
But we were there almost every night.
Yeah, Greggo was out there about every night, and so was I.
And then you said eventually, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, Greg, I don't know if you heard it. Mike said whenever the idea of the ticket finally came up, you ended up being the second person that he asked about it, but that was just due to proximity, I think. You were definitely one of the first people on his mind.
I was going to talk to him first, but he wasn't there that night.
Right. So you ended up talking to Craig,
mm-hmm.
and then the very next day broached it with Greg. Do you have any recollection of those first moments of what the hell are you talking about, dude?
Are you kidding me? Rhines was there in his Hawaiian shirt. It was too small.
What?
He probably still has it. And he was wearing his Stevie Ray Vaughan Converse All-Stars that were peach colored.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much I remember.
Really?
So not only were his underwear too small, his shirts were too.
You remember that shirt he wore?
I remember a nut falling out of the side of his briefs one time.
He wore it for – that was my arrow. But, I remember it just vividly. I'm like, wow, I want in. But then I kind of started thinking, whoa, what if this thing doesn't work? I'm at WBAP. I can probably go, work here another 20 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, I don't know. And then I was covering a game. Rhines wasn't covering it that night. But I covered a game, and Kevin Brown threw a two-hit one-run game, and they got beat 1-0. God. And Rhines, you remember this, don't you?
Yeah.
And I
wasn't there, but I do remember what had happened.
You saw the after effects.
Yeah.
He destroyed
the clubhouse.
Yeah.
For those who may not know, Kevin Brown was a Rangers pitcher at that time.
Yeah.
And he was really good.
Really good, but a red ass.
But yeah, he was a little, well, depending on when you caught him.
Now
there were times when he would be the greatest guy in the world, but if something went wrong in a game like that, and he didn't get the win, he would turn into a major red ass.
And plus, he needs to. He was a guy that you remember the Schieffer deal, the tight uniforms.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean that's how he was. I mean they were supposed to wear these throwback uniforms, and Kevin Brown wouldn't do it, or he did it, but then he got to Schieffer and just cussed him out big time.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the story. He destroyed the clubhouse and just went nuts. Well, Reed Ryan, Nolan's kid, was a intern at WBAP, so I kind of knew him and everything. And so I was talking to him about it, as they're cleaning up everything, and he goes, "Well, my dad said that he is the absolute most selfish player he's ever played with in his career."
Really?
Okay. That's some info.
Yeah.
Well, then I was doing extra innings.
Extra innings.
And so I kind of repeated that. I kind of repeated it that Kevin Brown, he's very, very, very selfish, and he's a bad teammate, and he destroyed this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Boy, I got called into the general manager's office and reamed.
Really?
Oh, they said, you can't do that. You cannot do that. You can't do that. I'm like, but it's true. And I told them where I got it. They said, well, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's true. You can't say that. I said, well, Galloway says that. They go, well, you ain't Galloway.
Right.
I said, no, I'm not. You're right. Walked right in the office, called Ron's. I'm in.
Dang.
Really? And that was only a few days after the first request from him, or a week maybe, or real quick?
Nah, it wasn't a week.
Okay.
It wasn't a week.
Yeah, it was a few days, but he was sitting on the fence, and it was kind of a anxious time for me because he was the one that I was very much counting on, being able to get on board.
So he says he's in. This thing's a go. You two are going to be together. That was always the plan?
Well, Greg Miller was going to be with us.
Yeah, the original plan was we were going to do a three-headed monster like this.
Mm-hmm.
But Junior decided that he thought our personalities were too strong for his. And he said, but I got a guy that I think I can do the show with. I think we might be able to get him. I said to him, okay, well, who's that? And he said, that's George Dunham. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, yeah, I know that guy. Should I call him? He said, yeah. He gave me his number. I called him, and George at first said, well, man, I really wish you guys a lot of success, but I'm getting out of the business, and I'm going to get into insurance sales or something like
George,
that.
he was starting a young family at that point.
Yeah.
He'd already had one of his kids, I believe.
At least one.
Yeah.
Maybe two.
Yeah.
But he was telling us, but man, I'm going to be really pulling for you guys. I wish you all the success in the world. And I didn't know if he had told Junior that or not. I was just going to wait and feel Junior out on it, see if he said anything to me about it. Anyway, over the course of the next couple of days, George called me back and said, hey, are you guys still a go? Can I still get in? I said, if you want in, you're in.
So he took a few days and then had a change of heart.
He had a
his
change
entire
of heart
life
from insurance.
And whatever happened to that George and Craig? What are they doing now? Are they
insurance?
They're doing insurance.
Insurance award-winning insurance moguls.
That's right.
They're
living the insurance dream.
In the top 5 insurance market.
George is actually
They've won 4 Geiconis. I don't know.
Wow.
A+.
Wasn't that good?
Wow. It was,
5 out of
too.
5 dumplings. 5
You guys are just going to sit by for that?
Nobody even know what Marconi is. Nobody knows what that is. Come on.
Masterful bond mods like that put it where he is.
You are an idiot.
Yeah, I know it. You're laughing at that. That was trash.
That was A+.
That was a trash joke.
All right, so off you go.
Yep.
And look, this whole thing is unformatted. We're going to have fun and kick around everything. We're going to get to how it ended, but I think talking about how it began is interesting here toward the top of the show.
That's the much better story.
Well, we're going to kick it all around. But so off you go, right? You're on the air. I mean, putting the thing together. Greg, what are your recollections of what the hell the show is going to be and the idea of sports talk all day versus we're going to have some fun as well? Like, how did it all come about?
You know what? And looking back on it, it's, you see things and you understand things a lot better. And, back then, I mean, our show really was, I think Ron will agree, it just grew organically.
Yeah.
I mean, we really didn't I mean, we really didn't force a lot of stuff in. I mean, everything just kind of came, but we were smart enough when something came along that we could capitalize on
Yeah.
it.
You know, that's funny, and I hate interjecting myself into this narrative at all, but maybe just to kind of give a little bit of context, I was a Galloway P1 because he was on at nights, and that was the optimum pizza driving time. So I wanted to hear baseball talk and cowboy talk, and that's where you got if you lived in Dallas at that time and you wanted to hear sports talk, it was Randy. Now,
And it was at 6 o'clock at night,
yes,
too.
Yes, it's when people need their pepperoni pizzas for dinner, and I was more than happy to oblige them, and oftentimes drive around their house a few times to wait for the segment to finish. So when the ticket came on, it seemed to me for about the first 6 months, which is kind of contradictory to the reason you wanted to start this radio station, was because in the back of the bus, in the back of the press box, you guys are cracking each other up and making each other laugh and doing this kind of organic buffoonery mixed in with talking about sports. But when you guys first went on the air, it seemed like it was pretty straight ahead.
It was.
Sports talk. And I believe that's kind of what management wanted you guys to be. And I didn't like it at first. And you know why? Because I was brand committed to Galloway. So when these new guys are coming on that I'd never heard of, really, are doing this sports talk thing, I'm like, no way I'm listening to them. But then after some time happened and you guys got your sea legs, I realized what attracted me to the station, and I will throw this back to you guys because I think you were about to go into this, is when you started talking the organic evolution of what y'all were doing is when you started bringing in elements of your own personal lives into the content of talking sports. And I believe it might have been you talking about the trepidation you had of sending your daughter to her first day of school. Because what that was to me at the time was relatable. There is something relatable to what you were talking about. I connected with that outside of hearing good opinions on the Rangers and, wild-ass comments from Greggo or whatever the chemistry was in the sports world. When you started doing that and bringing your own lives into the station, that's when it became something incredibly unique and often mimicked, often copied, but, never duplicated for sure.
Well, when we first started out, or prior to us actually starting out, I was a complete, total, 100% acolyte of Howard Stern, of the great Howard Stern. And to me, doing stuff like that seemed like something he would do,
Yeah.
And people had told me that you can't do sports all the time. And at first I believed that you could. I thought they were wrong. That I believed that you could. But then the more I thought about it and the more I thought about him, I started thinking of things that we could tell, or just ideas and concepts of his that we could take, that we could borrow from. And doing something like that was one of them.
So, Greggo, when you guys, let's say the first time that you had a segment like that wasn't, recapping the Cowboys or talking about what the Rangers did the night before, and you did something that was unrelated to sports, and you had this chemistry, this unique content, was there a point where you kind of, as the segment ended, you kind of went back and went, Eureka, we're on to something?
I don't think I ever had a eureka moment, but when we'd go out and see, that was one of the best things we did at the ticket. I mean, we got out with the people, and I'd go out and somebody would come up and then talk about something that I said on the air that had nothing to do with sports. And I'm like, well, what about when I broke down that 4-3 defense and talked about how good that was? And
you never heard a thing about that, did you?
No. And
Same here.
I would pour over everything and have all this sports knowledge just ready to drop on somebody. But if I talked about somebody cutting me off in traffic, that's it. That's 2 segments.
Yeah.
I'm taking off.
It's crazy.
You remember
crazy
this,
how
don't
that
you?
works.
You remember this, Sotero.
So it was never like but wow, that's what we do. But it didn't take long for it to, kick in. I'll never forget one of our first big wins. I'm going to call it a win because we were in constant war with the consultants.
Sure.
Was when and Ron, I bet you remember this, when we went the first 10 minutes without taking a phone call.
10 minutes?
Yep.
Yeah.
We went a whole.
Before he retired, we went 10 years without taking a phone.
And you know what? That's too soon, too.
But yes, there were the management of the station had a consultant up there who I absolutely hated, and he was just always up their ass to get rid of me, so he could have control over the station, get the guys doing this the way he thought it should be done, and he knew nothing about sports talk, nothing about it, nothing about talk radio nothing about anything really.
I got to interject a couple things here. Two of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
Ever. You know where I'm going, Ron?
I think
We were in a meeting,
Okay.
and this consultant handed out stuff.
Like
so-
rubbers or?
Yeah,
No, not like
rubbers.
rubber.
Yeah, rubbers.
he would
And so
have handouts.
He would have handouts.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
So he hands out everything, and everybody, they get it, and they're looking at it, and they're looking
This
at
is
it.
advice from him.
Okay.
And so we're going to have to do this.
All right. You're Ryan's.
Right,
Acting.
right.
I'm
So-
consultant.
Yeah,
Play acting.
yeah, go that.
All right, here you go, Ryan's. Here's some. Oh, all right, okay. And he threw it right back at him and walked off, huh?
He didn't throw it at him, but he dropped
Kind
it.
of dropped
So
it.
Yeah,
receive
yeah.
the piece of paper and crumple it in one
In
maneuver.
one
Yeah,
fell
and
swoop.
without looking at
That's
it.
impressive.
I mean, he just handed it, and Roger threw it. And another time
You do that, Mike?
This is all true.
And then there was another time, not too far from here, at the Grand Kapinski, when the consultant was there and goes up to Ronner to shake his hand, and Ronner just goes
Folded his arms.
and looked at him.
Wow.
And I was standing right there, and I'm like, oh, I just shrunk down to 1 inch tall and ran out of there.
I was at a Christmas party or something.
Christmas
wasn't
party,
it?
Christmas party at the Grand Kapinski.
I'm going to do that to Patrick in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, just
See what
try it.
happens.
But that was that crumpled up that paper. That was an all timer.
It was a different time, wasn't it, Mike?
Different time.
Mike softened a lot. I don't know if you know this. He
Have
softened
ya?
a lot in his
I don't
Well,
know.
it's,
Twilight years.
you know what? It's obvious.
I don't see myself.
See, it's obvious he softened because I'm here.
Well, I don't know about that. Yeah, he softened a long time ago. I saw a real change in him about 15 years ago, and probably unrelated to what happened with you guys. But I think there was a time that Mike went. He look. People will tell you to this day when they first met Mike that they were intimidated by him. I mean,
yeah.
you would probably say the same thing to a certain degree, right?
Yeah, well, I'll tell Greggo. I've told it many times, but my first interaction with Mike is, I was scared S-less of him. And we went to spring training one year, and by who knows how, we got assigned as roommates, Mike and I.
You ever heard this story?
No.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, so 2 double beds, and Mike Reiner and I are roommates. I'm the lowest on the totem
So
pole.
Norm
with the
had his
ticket.
own. What happened was Norm had his own room. They got 3 hotel rooms.
Well, how the hell did that happen? Norm get his
Because
own
it's
room.
Norm,
Yeah,
because
who
he's
knows?
100 and wants his own room. Demanded it, probably paid
I wouldn't
extra.
have put up with
I know
that.
we didn't pay extra for it, but it was probably Corby and me that had roomed together for years, and then Mike, and then rather than rooming with Norm, they put you with Mike.
Yeah,
and
put
then
me
Norm
with
had his own
Reiner,
room.
and
That's-
he sometime in the first half hour or something goes, "Tell you what, we're gonna be fine," something like that. Just don't talk to me. I'm like, all right, that's pretty clear and easy directions that I certainly can follow. I can follow directions to that level. So, we spent a couple days, I got my laptop. I listened, working on audio for my show, like no problem. And we were cordial. It was like, how you doing? It wasn't like silence, but it was never any conversation and never kicking anything around. And I think he eventually, after 3 days or so, was so impressed with me and my ability to follow the rules. We're laying in bed like that third night, obviously separate beds. The lights are dim. He's reading. I'm reading. And I just
And I jumped in his and canoodled
Yes,
with him.
and he jumped in, made me the little spoon. No, he snaps his head over and goes, "Hey," and I snap my head over. I'm like, "This is odd." I'm like, "Yeah, hey, what's up, Mike?" He goes, "Hey, you can talk to me."
You can talk to me.
So I go, "All right, man, cool, thank you." I didn't have anything for you right then, but
Well, see, you're better than me because I roomed with Ron for 14 years, and he never let me talk. I never got the you can talk now.
it only took me 3 days, I guess, of adhering to the rules. But I can't speak to
I'd
him.
like to say that's not true, but it is true to the letter.
Now, when you went in, did Ronner prepare the chamber?
I'm glad I don't know what the hell that means.
Just get things ready.
That's where you
Draw the curtains,
no
get
matter
the,
what, draw
get
the
temp
curtains.
right and everything.
and turn the air conditioner on.
Yeah,
as
just get
low
everything
as
right
it will
in there.
go.
All right, here, one thing we can do real quick. We're going to do it later. We got this thing laid out a little bit. We were talking about the beginning and good times, and that's awesome. We are going to talk about the end and, not so good times.
I'm not going to harp on it forever.
No, but,
just
it
touch on
needs to be
briefly.
addressed if we're doing this thing. And then around 5 o'clock, I'm going to talk best memories, pranks, that sort of thing. But only because you mentioned hotel rooms, I figured we could do one right here because the story came up a week or so ago on our show. And I want to hear your perspective of the alarm clock saga.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
We heard Mike's take on it, if you don't mind.
I've never admitted this, but I'm going to admit it now. I've never admitted it. That's the greatest prank ever.
It's a good one.
It's the greatest prank ever.
It's the prank that keeps on pranking throughout the night.
Yeah.
Boy, it sure did.
Yeah. And
Man.
you know why this came up is because of Christine McVie passed away. And you remember the song that cranked up at 5:30 in the morning on the giant clock radio that was taped up underneath the sink was Tell Me Lies.
Yeah,
Tell
Little
Me
Lies.
Sweet Little Lies
by Fleetwood Mac,
Tell
which
me,
was
tell
one
me.
of her songs.
Yeah.
Oh, it's never.
And to this day, every time I hear that song, they start that song, and for about 2 or 3 seconds, I just cringe.
He did it right there when it started. He stood up a little
But
bit.
it was so weird because I could sleep through a freight train. And so Ron's kind of woke me up. He goes, man, what is that?
Set it up real quick. Somebody give me a 30-second setup for people who don't know
the
it.
setup is when Mike and Greg were off to watch the Rangers play at probably a noon or 1 o'clock first pitch spring training game in Port Charlotte, Florida. Corby and I gained access to their room, and Rob Chickering, our on-site engineer at the time, went and bought, I think it was 11 alarm clocks, 10 of them these small battery-operated digital ones, and we set them starting at I think about 2:30 or 3 in the morning to go off every 15 minutes and hid them around their room
And
taped to the top of a ceiling fan, behind the TV, under the bed, behind the headboard,
Underneath the sink.
in a drawer under the sink. And we had them go off. I think there was 10 of them, so they probably went off for 2.5 hours. So it was supposed to end at like 4:30. But the atomic bomb was this big clock radio that had a loud-ass woofer speaker on it, and we found this classic rock station and cranked it to 10 and set the radio to be the alarm and duct taped that up underneath this sink that they would have never found it had it not gone off. And that's how it started. So at like 2:30 or 3 in the morning, the first alarm goes off.
Go ahead,
Like, what
Hammer,
the
what
hell's
happened
going
there?
on? And
those
then
piercing sounds. Yes, yeah. And Ron's like, what is this? I said, is it a fire alarm? I'm like, I don't know, man. Where'd it come from? So you start trying to listen where it is. You're coming out of a fog of sleep. You can't find it. And we found one, and we're like, okay, we found that son of a
Those
bitch
bastards.
now. Okay, all right,
got
go
it.
over here. All right, Ron, just go back to sleep. Beep, beep, beep. Where's this one? So then we start going on again.
Yeah, so about the third one, you realize this is going on all night, so they destroy the room trying to find.
Destroy.
Missed a couple, so you think you're in the clear, and then maybe an hour later, one goes off. Oh, crap, how'd they hide it there? And then finally, you get the false sense of security that after an hour of silence and total deep relaxation, sleep, that's when the big bomb went off with Fleetwood Mac at 5:30
Christine
in the
McVie
morning.
had the last word.
Yeah, she did. Now, the thing you don't know about Mikey was the bully revenge prank by Greggo. So Corby and I went out the next night to karaoke or something, and we typically would be out pretty late. So I think we rolled in probably at about 2:15, and we walked into our room, and we looked around, and we both, man, something does not feel right about this. And I looked at my bed, and I realized it had been either sat on, because the cleaning people came in and, they straightened everything up every morning. And I looked at the bed, and it just didn't look right. And I pulled back that cheap-ass blanket and to reveal assorted raw seafood. Because Greggo had gone to whatever H-E-B there in Florida.
The fish market.
And bought like $38 worth of shrimp and,
Did you,
and
Greg?
cod.
Oh, yeah.
You went to a fish market
mussels.
specifically
And bought all of this raw fish and put it in me and Corby's bed.
And I told Rons, I told Ron, I said, man, I'm going to get those son of a bitches. You stay here. and he stayed at the game, so I left during the game.
Yeah.
And went back, and I didn't know how I was going to get in, so I do what you need to do. I threatened the maid. So
With violence.
the maid was rolling down there. I go, I need to get in my room. Oh, you need to go to the office. I go, no, I don't need to go to the office. Open that door right now. I can't, sir. Open the door.
Good Lord.
So she opened it.
Yeah.
And that's what
As you have a cooler full of mollusks and
Yeah, I mean, it was
shrimp
everything. Everything.
You know what? I think I did have the fish.
He had all of it. He had all of it. So all we did is just ripped off the fitted sheet and went and got new linens and put them on our bed. And then we took all of their seafood, and those exterior
AC units?
AC units and
Yeah,
heaters. It's a
yeah.
kind of the combo platter. You have those vents on there, so they're asleep, and we just like crammed all of the fish into their air conditioners, so they've got to sleep all night with fish AC. But yeah, that was one of a million pranks that we did on each other back in the day.
All right, this is the Downbeat. We're live at the Diamond Factory. This is awesome. Mike Reiner, Danny Bayless. I'm Mike Sirois. Greg the Hammer Williams chilling with us all damn day long. Great to have you here. And we're going to focus on a bunch of the fun memories, some pranks, some stuff like that. But if you do want to ask a question directly to either Greg or Mike Reiner, pretty much no filter, man. You can tweet us at DownbeatDFW. It's going to be Fax Fodder Online Edition. And I got a bunch compiled already. They are to varying degrees of interest, and some of them are pretty poignant, but we'll see. If you don't want to answer, that's fine, but I'm going to ask them. So we'll figure out how to handle that at about 6 o'clock. We kind of did the beginning, and I think coming up next we discuss sort of what led to the end of the relationship between you two, the relationship on the air and off the air, and I think we kick that around next live from the Diamond Factory in the Downbeat.
I was 12 years old. I called the Hardline, and you guys actually picked up and let me on the air. That'll tell you how long I've been listening. I don't care what happens going forward, but it feels good for Mom and Dad to be on speaking terms. Love you guys.
This is the Downbeat on 97.1 The Freak.
All right. Don't know who that was, but thank you very much. We are not at the Frankel and Frankel Studios today. Instead, we are at the Diamond Factory. And if you'd like to come out here, we would love to see you. Have you got coordinates over there, Mikey?
Indeed I do. 13719 Omega Road. If you find yourself on the tollway, find Alpha, head west. You'll see Omega about a mile down, hang a right, and we're right there on the left-hand side, the Diamond Factory.
They've always told me that once you find Alpha, Omega cannot be far behind.
Indeed.
But that's just
Indeed.
what I heard somebody say.
Well, what you heard right there, Mike, was a talkback feature on the iHeart app. And if anybody listening wants to participate in the show today, you can do that. If you're listening on the iHeart app, there's a little button with a little microphone, and you press it, and you get 30 seconds to say whatever you want. So,
Or until we determine that your stories become tiresome, whichever happens first.
So don't make it tiresome. Make it good. You got 30 seconds to let it rip, and Groobs is sifting through those. And again, if you want to ask any questions directly to Greg the Hammer Williams, who's joining us right now, or Mike Reiner, or Danny Bayless for that matter, who's been part of their previous show for a very long time, you can do that at DownbeatDFW. That's our Twitter handle. And we're going to have Fax Fodder Online Edition later in the show. And we're going to fire off some wild questions. Again, we're going to have a good time at 5 o'clock. We're going to talk some of your favorite memories, Greg, pranks, whatever's on your mind, some of the good times. But you can't tell the story of y'all's two relationship without the downs that coincided with so many of the ups. And we kind of just did that in the last second, talked about at the beginning how you guys first met, got together, started working together. But the truth is this story, hopefully does have a happy one at the very end, but for a long time it didn't have a happy ending. So I guess my first question is, after getting along so well, having so much success, do either of you remember or know the first seeds of not getting along, of some sort of fissure between the two of you, or how that presented itself on the show?
Well, Ryan's would have to answer that because I was too stupid to know I was doing anything wrong. I was just walking around in a stupid fog, of making bad decisions and just doing everything bad. So I don't know the moment.
I don't know the moment either, but the best thing I can say about that is that there is, when we started out down this road, I tried to ask myself every kind of conceivable question I could come up with. All the if-thens, or what do you do when this happens? What do you do when that happens? If this guy leaves, what are you going to do about it? If that guy leaves, what are you going to do about it? I tried to come up with every possible scenario that I could find, but there is one scenario that I didn't come up with. One thing I didn't think about, and that is, what are you going to do if this thing goes off the charts successful and is a groundbreaker, and the next thing you know, everybody turns into something that they never imagined they would. And that was what happened. That was what happened. And to a very large degree, that was one of the things that led to the end of it, I think.
Do you agree with that?
Oh,
Do you think
yeah.
your success led to ultimately what ended your relationship?
You know, you can include athletes in this, and I'm not saying that I'm an athlete, but you could include me in a person, one of the worst persons to handle success in the history of DFW. I didn't handle success at all.
Do you think that what led to the dissolution of the show, and we're talking about, you had a pretty difficult time with some substance stuff and trying to, subsequently cover it up, which to a lot of people that were around you was probably worse than the actual, the actual troubles that you were going through. But do you feel that was a thing that you were predisposed to? Do you feel like it was a genetic thing that all you needed was the means to facilitate kind of feeding those demons that were already there? Were those demons always there, or was it just like, now I've got a lot of money, people know me, I've got this, this persona that I put out there? Did you feel like you were becoming that you had to live up to that persona? I don't know. Do you feel like any of that stuff was already there, and just because you then had the high profile, the notoriety, and the money, that it just made it easier to feel like you could just get away with being bad?
Oh, yeah, I definitely thought that.
Right.
I definitely thought that. And
I guess I'm wondering did you always feel like those demons were there? You just needed almost a false, safe place to explore them.
no, and I've gone through a lot of therapy,
Yeah.
and rehabs and all that. And the one thing I learned is you either have the addictive gene or you don't.
Right.
You either have it or you don't. And I have it, but I didn't know it. I didn't know that I was easily addicted. I didn't know that for the first part of my life I was addicted to food. I was eating too much food.
Well, I knew you back then, and I could have told you that.
I know it. Probably a lot cheaper.
This is a man that claimed to
but
be able to eat 10 Whataburgers. That's a problem, right? Not to make light, but go ahead. You can carry on with what you were saying. You found that you were addicted to food, and you had that. I'll tell you.
No. Looking back, I could see that. So then, it became the drugs, and before you know, you never know it before it gets a hold of you, and when it finally gets a hold of you, it's too late. That's when you got to do something drastic to get right. And I was doing what I spent my whole life doing, and that's trying to be somebody that I wasn't. I was trying to be that. And looking back, I tried that my whole life. And then I got to the point where, boy, look what I can make myself into. Boy, I can make myself into this or that. And I'm just fooling myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, just fooling myself.
So you think the drugs were the biggest problem that ultimately led to it? I know Mike says that sort of manifested itself into lying and not telling the truth. But
just,
it's rooted in drug use, right?
Yeah. It was. I got caught up with the stupid Highland Park jet setters, and I was at a party one night and somebody breaks out the coke and I'm like, God, I haven't done that in 20 years. Let me try that. Addictive gene. Here it comes. It only takes one time.
Is it pretty much that simple? I mean, you dabbled when you were very young, as many do. Then no real interest in it until one day.
Just a one of many unwise decisions that I made.
And I know you wouldn't know, Mike, the exact day that you're referring to or when it was, but I mean, is that essentially what you now believe is what led your downward spiral, I suppose, at least in the eyes of Mike, and what led to the end of the show? It had to have been that?
Sure. I mean, it was a part, but there were a lot of other things that I was doing, that just wasn't, it just wasn't right. I was doing things that weren't reflecting well on the station. And, I was at the point to where, hey, if I don't get caught, I'm not really doing it.
Mike mentioned yesterday, sort of, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, about how you didn't want the show to stop because you guys were a success. And Mike, I think, said, I don't know if this show is a success without Greg Williams as part of it. So he may have, allowed you a more leash to ultimately get yourself into more trouble in hopes that this thing would resolve itself. Do you think that's the case?
No, because I know Rhines. I don't think that he would do that. Am I right on that, Rhines? I don't think that you would.
I would have done anything to save you.
I totally believe that.
And I would
Totally.
I don't know if the way it ended was at the last straw for me. I probably could have gone on, but by then I just had it, because there was so many things that were led to by all that. Number one, I couldn't get a straight answer out of him. Number two, I couldn't get an honest answer out of him. Number three, he didn't listen to what I had to say anymore. And I just reached a point where I couldn't work with somebody like that.
Because they always say that the big offense is, it's not the crime, it's the cover-up. It's not the fact that you had a problem with, substances or an addictive personality. It was the reluctance to come clean with that and do something about it in a very transparent manner.
Yeah.
And there's nobody here judging you, because every one of these people that are in this room has got some secrets or have made poor decisions and done things that they wish that they hadn't have done. So we're all in one way or another connected and alike and human. So this isn't about that. But do you feel like that was, Mike, I'm kind of asking you, that was the big problem, was the attempts to cover those things up?
Yeah. I mean, if he would have come to me, if Greggo would have come to me and sat me down and said, man, I've got to go away. I've got to get right. I need help here, and I'm going to go away and get it. Or if he would have asked me for something, whatever it would have been, I would have given it to him. I would have extended him whatever latitude he needed to get right, because he was important to the show. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen to the show without him on there, because at that time my own personality was not real well defined. And, the thought of him not being there and doing this with somebody else was very daunting to me.
You did help me once on the painkiller deal the first time that I told you, right before I went to that rehab, remember?
On the Vicodin?
Yeah. Remember that? I told you before I was leaving. Remember, we were going on vacation.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
You
You did.
And you did. And you called and checked on me several times. So you did help me.
I tried to. None of it took, though.
Well, it's, and I hate saying this, and I'm not going to come over here and, spout a bunch of AA platitudes, but, you're not going to get clean till you want to get clean. And you're not going to, and you're not going to get clean a day sooner. Mm-hmm. You're just not. And, back then, I thought I was, bulletproof. How can they get rid of me? My God, I'm part of the show, and we're number one. They can't get rid of me. Well, they can't fire me.
And,
they can.
That was well-founded thought. Because back then, most people listened to the show for him.
They love the hammer.
They love the hammer. They still do. Listen to that.
That's the hammer.
That's the hammer.
I would be, I've gone through every emotion on this, every single emotion. But one emotion that I've never felt, not one time. I've never been mad. Never been mad. Not one time. Been disappointed, been embarrassed, but I've never been mad.
Probably afraid.
I've been terrified.
Yeah.
But I've never been mad, because I could have stopped it any time. So it's my fault. I could have stopped it at any time, and I was the only one. Nobody else could stop it. My cousins who fished me out of a situation that you wouldn't believe the situation they fished me out of. And I had to get my head right. And is it right now? I don't know.
Where are you in the process with all that? I mean, I know it's been a long 15 years since you guys did the show together, and I know you probably, when you left the ticket, I don't know if that's the day you stopped using. I'm sure you probably struggle with that beyond that. I don't know. I mean, where are you in the process with, all the making amends and the treatment and all that stuff, if you're willing to talk about it?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's one thing about cocaine. If you don't make a lot of money, you can't do a lot of it. So that pretty much stopped that.
Right. Because you were never a big drinker. I remember, from day one, I never remembered the Hammer. I always heard about all these Miller Lights he could pound, and I never knew Greggo to be a big drinker.
No, I always heard about those Miller Lights, but I never saw it happen.
It's funny you mention that, because the last time that I went off the rails, about 5 years ago, was a Miller Lite Fest.
You brought that back, huh?
Well, I don't, like I said, I don't know where all this happened, but it became, I used to have a beer every once in a while, but never drinking, never go out and drink. I just didn't do that. Just didn't like it. And then when I decided, I'm gonna have a couple beers, all of a sudden I couldn't stop.
Yeah,
I just couldn't stop. And so I had one weekend, and I'm not real proud of this, but I like to tell it because it embarrasses me and will keep me from doing it again. But when I got fished out of just a horrible situation, I had drank 105 beers in a weekend.
And you weren't in college.
No. And how do I know it was 105?
That's averages over 30-something a day.
Yeah. Oh, more than that.
Damn.
Yeah. And they took me to the, of course, they took me to the emergency room, and I had to do a breathalyzer. 0.413.
Yeah, you shouldn't be alive.
Jeez.
413.
Yeah.
The Hammer's hard to kill.
I guess so.
But 105, I haven't had one since.
5 years ago.
5 years ago, you said?
So not quite. Okay. Not quite.
Yeah.
I don't have my 5-year chip yet.
So you do come to the realization, probably, if not prior, but then, or you probably knew this a long time ago, that you can't just have one, and that this treatment is something, and this situation is something you're going to live with for the rest of your life. How do you treat that on a weekly, monthly, daily basis? How does that work for you?
It doesn't really bother me. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have any cravings. And the thought of drinking a beer,
Yeah.
it sickens me. I can feel the bile in the back of my throat building up when I think about the taste of it.
Right.
It's just, and I hope I keep that. I hope it stays that way.
You go to meetings?
Yes. Actually, lead the meetings.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of the leaders.
All right.
I've never seen him there. Go
Yeah,
all
you
the time.
could go regularly.
I was-
in and out.
I tackled the guy that stood up and pulled out a gun at a meeting.
Go on.
Yeah. Talk more about that.
Yeah. You can't throw that out there and just stop.
Some guy he was so drunk. Oh God!
At the meeting.
At the meeting.
I
yeah.
thought you had to send them home
You
if
can-
they were tanked.
You do, but nobody knew he was drunk at the
Okay.
time. And he started trying to talk, and he couldn't talk. And they said, "Hey, man, you're gonna have to leave." He goes, "I'm not leaving anywhere." He reached in. I thought, "Man, is he pulling out a gun?" Pulled out a gun. I'm like, "No, it's a phone." "No, it's a gun."
Yeah.
And so me and this other guy just kind of tackled him a little
Disarmed him.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy because I think back to you. Greggo's always been. I don't know if obsessive compulsive is the right word, but
But it's definitely
but
the
I
right
think
word.
that,
Oh, that's
let me-
perfect.
Let me ask you this: the addictive behavior. I think it can kind of conflate with that stuff too, because when you get into something, you obsess and collect all of them. Like there was a time where Greggo was into lunch boxes, like vintage kids' lunch boxes, and these things would show up at the ticket from eBay. Like 4 or 5 of them every day, and it'd be like, I got this one. It's peanuts. This one's emergency and Adam 12, and this one's this one and this one. And then once that thrill of getting it in the mail and seeing that you had possession of this, it was like, well, where's the next one? Where's the next one? Where's
Yeah.
the next one? I never felt like you enjoyed having
I never
that
did.
one thing. It was just like put them in a stack.
I never did.
But there's more, and then you get tired of that one, and then I did for a long time. It was firearms. I mean, you had a ton of stuff.
Now I still have those.
Well, I mean, probably not as much as you used to. You know,
Probably more.
Oh, wow.
How many you got?
I'll tell you.
Come on.
Well, he didn't want the ATF showing up at his house anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
freaking FBI.
But to the point, it's like that is probably somehow connected with that addictive personality and behavior, right?
And you mentioned it a minute ago, Danny. But I was telling you about my small apartment.
Yeah.
You go, boy, I bet everything's neat in there.
Yeah, because Greggo's a big neat freak.
That's part of it too.
Sure,
is being a neat freak.
That's about control. About you want to be in control of every aspect of your life. I bet.
I might want to, but boy, I sure have done a poor job of it.
Yeah, that's probably the juxtaposition of having that gene, and then
it's you normies have y'all are lucky.
Hey, ain't nobody here a normie.
You normies are lucky.
But you feel good these days?
I feel.
I mean,
yeah,
other than being tired,
What's a normie?
Normal, a normal person.
Normal people.
Yeah.
Like 10% of the people in the world are like me.
You ain't talking to me, that's for sure.
90% of the
It's
people are
people
like
that
you.
listen to Norm.
Okay, then in that case, yeah.
But yeah, Ron, answer your question. I go to the meetings. I do they help? Yeah. I mean, they help me. Do I believe all of it? No. I don't believe all the stuff in there.
It's probably accountability to other
It
people is a big part of it, right?
It's just something that I have to manage downtime. I can't be sitting around thinking too much. And so, a lot of times when I feel like that, I'll go to one of the meetings.
Do you go sporadically, or do you go if they're having one? Are you there without fail, or what?
There's four places I go to, and I probably go on an average 2.5 times a week, maybe three times a week. But no, I went every day for a while. I mean, I went to a meeting 100 and something days in a row when I got out of rehab.
Yeah.
I mean, they want you to go, 90 and 90, 90 meetings in 90 days.
Do you get to a point where you feel like you don't need it anymore, or what happens?
No, you're always recovering. You're never recovered.
Yeah.
You don't. No. I've.
Maybe we can ask this on the other side. I don't know, but it seemed like I didn't really see the addictive part of your personality until around 2005, 2007, when the Hardline was kind of going through that stuff. What was going on before that? And I'm curious, what were you addicted to prior to that?
Let's do that next.
Yeah.
Let's do that next, because we're going to kick around that a little bit more. We got Greg Williams here hanging out with us. Again, it's going to be some of the best memories you've ever had at the tickets and pranks. These two are going to talk some baseball for old time's sake.
Yeah.
Might even ask him if TCU is going to get a big win coming up.
Okay.
We're going to
Mike,
stop saying things you love.
Mike, don't say anything about TCU.
We got Greg the Hammer Williams joining the Downbeat here at the Diamond Factory, 13719 Omega Road, right at Alpha and Omega. Please come by and join us. A bunch of listeners here. And a pretty interesting little day here on the Downbeat. We'll be back in just a moment.
Groups, I hope you're getting all of these Greggo drops. It's great hearing the guys all together again.
The Downbeat on 97.1 The Freak.
Y'all know who that was?
No.
LaDonna.
Oh, that was LaDonna.
Yeah.
Now, there's a long timer. Sweet LaDonna.
Precious girl. Absolutely precious.
Well, this is the Downbeat, and you are listening to us right here on 97.1 The Freak. We are out at the Diamond Factory today. If you'd like to come out and hang with us, kind of a landmark day, because people are out here are seeing something that most of them probably never thought they would. I never thought you would either, but here we are. The Hammer is here. The great Greg Williams. How do you think he's doing today? You liking this? And we have Daniel, we have Mikey, and we're We're having some fun out here today, talking to the Hammer.
Pretty
about
cool.
Old times.
Pretty cool. How you doing, Hammer? You doing all right?
Yeah, we got
You
Skin
enjoying
here.
it?
We got Expo here. We got a crew.
I'm okay.
The
I'm all right.
hand-
I'm
the
still
hand's not
nervous.
shaking? Are you a little bit?
Yeah, I'm still nervous, but you know.
Wish I didn't, but I did.
The quintessence of Hammer speak right
I
there.
love it.
Oh gosh.
We have pretty much nothing but fun after this segment, but I mean, the story can't be told without the ebbs and flows of the whole thing, I think. So, as we work our way toward fun times, great memories, and some interaction with some of your fans, even some Ranger talk, we're still kind of talking about the bad times, the when it wasn't so great. Mike, the resentment he had toward you for a very long time, and it is all stemming from the end, I suppose, or the last few years of your work together on the Hardline. You admitted substances were a big player.
Not an excuse, though, Mike. I'm not using that as an excuse.
No.
The substance abuse.
No, but it is what led to, I suppose,
Yeah.
your behavior that created his resentment, which led to the end of things.
It's probably a reason and not an excuse. I don't want to use any excuses for behavior.
As far as it applies to on air, I guess I don't even necessarily mean in your personal life, because those lows were probably far lower than anything that impacted the on air. But you were showing up late to work regularly, lying, I suppose, about why you were late, not showing up at all on some days. Odd question, but Reiner, I'll ask you. What did he do that made you the most mad?
All of those things, and he would show up unprepped, not ready to go. I didn't feel like the time that I thought was necessary to put into the job for us to be successful was being put in. But I could have, if he would have just told me the truth on stuff and shot a little straighter with me and not tuned me out, then I probably could have lived with a lot of the rest of it, because I didn't want to see it end. We had been too good for too long. We had been too successful for too long, and I did not want to see that come to an end. But we reached a point to where the situation became untenable, and I knew that if he didn't go, I had to.
Is the concept that somebody that has been dealt that deck telling the truth to somebody else when they don't know how to tell the truth to themselves, is that concept just completely foreign to you? Because it sounds to me like more than lying to the people around you, you were lying to yourself a lot. Being honest with yourself that, like you said, the overinflated sense of I'm bulletproof. You know now that's not true. So that in a way is lying to yourself. So my question is, was that concept at the time just completely, well, he lied to me about this stuff, but if presented now through a different lens, do you realize that he was not lying? He was not telling the truth to himself. I know that's a difficult thing to get somebody's head around that doesn't have much experience in dealing with those situations.
It is, but the reality was, for me, and the lens that I had to look at it through, was that we had a show to do. And this was harming the show. And no matter what I thought about it, no matter how I might have been a little bit fearful of what things might be like if he was not there, at least for a while it was that way. I mean, we had to find a way to carry on. I had to find a way to get us through this, with him or without him. And that's the main thing that I was looking at. Honestly, I really didn't look at it from his point of view that much. I mean, I viewed this as his problem.
Right.
And he is the one that needed to work it out. And if he couldn't work it out, then I was going to have to do something.
Right. Well,
and I know that's a very selfish way of looking at it, but still the reality is,
it was the best that you knew how to do at the time.
Yeah, and like I say, the reality is we had a show to do.
Sure. Was there ever, and I think the answer might be different now than it would have been back then, but as you sit here now with Greg, I guess a question that I have is, is there more to wanting him to perform and get better? Is there more to it than just doing a good show? Because, look, He's a human being. He's a man. You guys had a long relationship together. You had good times that were independent probably of what was on the air for 4 hours a day. What do you feel like at any point, either then or now, that there was genuine empathy, concern, and love for the human being, Greggo,
Now,
as opposed to the personality that you were so concerned was what he was going through was going to compromise the product that you were pretty consumed by at that time?
I'm a lot closer to that now than I was then.
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time, even after he left, I didn't want to have anything to do with him. I wouldn't talk to him. There were a couple times when he'd come up to me and say hi, and I'd just walk on by. I didn't want to have anything to do with him because I feared if I did, I would get caught up in that swirling vortex again.
How did that make you feel when those things would happen? And I'm just curious what you were going through, what was going on in your mind, what were you feeling, what was your emotional state when probably all you wanted to do is be forgiven?
Yeah, obviously that you don't like something like that, but I understood. I mean, I got that. I mean, I understood why Rines felt the way that he did. I really did.
But it had to hurt.
Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. But what can I do about it? I mean, I'd already done the damage, but I've never blamed Rines.
Yeah.
For one bit. I've said that all along. I never have, and I don't now, and I never will, because it was, like I said, I never got mad because I had the power to change it immediately.
One more quick question while we're on this topic. And I'm sure that this is something that you've been exposed to in treatment and therapy, that regardless of where you are in your life and how much you have cleaned up through that process, part of that is making amends, part of that is seeking forgiveness, but you also must know that there is no guarantee and that forgiveness is not a given just because you ask for it. How did you deal, or do you deal with putting that out there into the atmosphere and saying, I'm so sorry, I screwed up, will you please forgive me? How do you go on if that is not reciprocated, if that is not given back to you? How do you resolve that within yourself and just accept, you know what, I did the best that I could, this person does not forgive me, I've got to go on with my life and not beat myself up or continue to self-destruct because you didn't get that response?
Well, I've never really thought of it like that. I've never really thought of it like, in the moment that you were talking about. What'd you say?
Well, like, forgiveness is not guaranteed. Just because you ask for it doesn't mean somebody is obligated to say, yeah, I forgive you. They might I'm not ready to do that yet. And you can't base your self-worth on whether someone forgives you or not. How do you kind of go around that and realize, well, I still got to continue on. I did the best I could. This person, if they may never forgive me, maybe they will in 5 or 10 years, you still got to trudge forth and live and not beat yourself up because you didn't get that answer that you wanted and go down into another hole again.
Well, it certainly hurt.
Sure.
I mean, it certainly hurt, but the way that I dealt with it was that, I was trying. I was trying to make amends. And I guess that in my mind, and I've never really thought about this or come to this conclusion, that I thought, maybe this will be the time.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be it. Maybe this will be it.
Yeah.
But I understand all this. This would be a lot easier if I could just blame somebody and say, well, it was my upbringing, it was this. But it's none of that. It's none of it.
Yeah.
You don't think it's your upbringing?
I think that some of it has to do with that. Some of it, but not a lot. Because for the most part, I was never abused. As a kid, by my parents or family. I was never abused or anything like that. We just lived a very, regular life. My parents were divorced, but, up until that, I can't blame that on anything. I wouldn't say that it was the greatest upbringing, but it certainly wasn't bad. I mean, I hear some people talking about their upbringing, and I just wonder how they ever made it.
You do know that that's all relative, though. I mean, what may be abuse. So one person might consider a difficult upbringing, and you can't really compare those two things. Yours is your own unique situation, and abuse can take many different shapes and forms. It's not just getting the crap beat out of you every day by your daddy,
Yeah.
Which, there can be neglect. There can be emotional abuse, verbal abuse, name calling, things like that. So, not to go down on that tangent, but I'm sure that, I always believe that the demons that we deal with do come from childhood, and that's something that I know I struggle with, and I'm sure a lot of us do when we look back on those things and realize, and later on in life, it's like, man, maybe that did contribute. So I don't know.
Greg, tell us about, if you can, the process of when you did get fired from the ticket. The first that someone approached you and what they said and why you were, I think, pulled off the air, or how did that happen?
Yeah, we had it was November. It was right before Thanksgiving in 2007, and I'd been to this rehab because I had to do that through HR, and so I'd finished that and had to come have a meeting with all the on-air guys, and that wasn't a good meeting. It was not a good meeting. I mean, they told me exactly what they thought about me, which is all the truth, and that was it. I thought, okay, well, what now? And so, I went home, and then Dan Bennett called me, probably a couple hours later and said, "You're out."
Do you think that meeting finalized that decision? I mean, was there a moment in that meeting that were you having a meeting to save your job, or do you think the decision was made already? That seems an odd meeting to have if 2 hours later you're going to get a phone call that fired you. And if you're okay with it, Mike, was there a discussion after that meeting that then did lead to the decision to fire him ultimately?
Well, what I remember about that meeting is that there was no doubt in my mind that really the meeting was sort of superficial and unnecessary.
Agreed.
Because there was no doubt in my mind that he was going to be out, that everybody up there, myself included, myself probably most of all, had it with him. And this was it. I mean, and if they didn't do that, then I can't say what I would have done next, And that's where I was going into the meeting, and I don't recall anything happening in that meeting. Maybe you might have some inkling, but I don't recall anything that happened in that meeting to change anybody's
I just remember Greggo had to go away for a while and got some treatment, and like you said, it was our boss, our direct supervisors, our GM, and then pretty much all the on-air staff. I was in there, I guess, as a producer, but I've worked closely with you guys for a long time at that point.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of questions. It was a lot of hurt feelings by the staff, kind of having their opportunity to vent or share, if you will.
Yeah. I will say this: I don't see why it was necessary for everybody to be in.
There were some people in there that I thought was
rather superfluous.
Yeah, or just an odd choice to be included in something that was more specific to our experience with you and me and Corby, and then management, and maybe like the original guys that started the station. They're having Donovan and Tom Gribble. That was odd.
Yeah,
odd participation.
And those guys didn't see why they had to be in there for it either.
Yeah, they were like, "Why are we even in here?" Yeah, but I think the over.
They didn't want to come watch mommy and daddy fight.
Right. The sentiment seemed to be like, we heard what Greggo had to say, and everybody got to say their piece, or whatever, frustrations, resentment, and all that. And at the end of it, it just seemed like maybe they didn't believe you. I don't know. It just didn't. It didn't feel great.
It was weird.
It was really weird. It was a really strange situation. But that had to have been felt incredibly weird for you to stand in there in front of all those people and have to sit through that dog and pony show.
It wasn't good. And that was back in the days where I didn't think I'd done anything wrong.
Yeah.
So I was really thinking, what kind of crap is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when Dan Bennett calls you and fires you, was it anger, resentment, disbelief? I mean,
no, none of that.
But you didn't think you'd done anything wrong.
Yeah, but there was no arguing. I mean, I was fired, and I could have talked to him on blue in the face, and I wasn't going to be back. So I just, okay. Conversation's probably 30 seconds,
Wow.
maybe a little bit longer.
God, it seems like a lifetime ago, But it also feels like it was yesterday. Just like
Yeah,
anything
it's
else.
weird.
Yeah.
So that meeting, I guess, would have been the last time that you two did you interact after that ever?
No.
We were pretty much that meeting was pretty much the last time for a long time that we were in the same place at the same time. And I walked into that meeting knowing that if he was not fired, then that was it for me.
You're going to quit?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Boy, things got bad, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
This was not fun, man.
They were, looking back now, at the time I didn't see it, but looking back now, it just, how could I have acted like that? How could I have done it?
So how many years until you eventually did see each other? I know you worked at a different station. You would see him at Super Bowls every now and again.
Super
Would you
Bowls
try to extend an olive branch that he was not receptive to?
If I saw him.
That happened several times. That happened several times where our paths would cross out there somewhere along the line, and he would say hi. He would try to be cordial, and I wanted no part of it.
Until that documentary a couple years back?
Yeah, until the documentary came out 2 years ago, I guess now.
Reset that real quick.
It was a documentary that was put together about my time in the game, my career, and he was interviewed for it. And I didn't know that was going to happen, or at least if I did know, it really didn't sink in. But anyway, along the way there, we wound up in the same place at the same time, a time or two, in the course of putting that together and shooting it and everything like that. And I figured, okay, if he's going to do this, then I too got to be a big boy here. So I pulled up my big boy pants, and we went in there and did it.
They were soiled, by the way.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
That's why you had
We're
to
not.
change them.
We're not.
Yellow
We're
on
not.
the front,
We're
brown on
not.
the back.
We're not.
My big boy pants were not soiled.
God, I hate you guys.
I know.
But yeah, I was gonna have to make nice with him some way, and we did. And it was not that bad. It was not that difficult. It was not that bad. It was the first time that I'd ever come away from an interaction with him, not just totally dismayed or bummed out or pissed or disappointed, and for something like that. You know, it was the first time that I'd walked away from an interaction with him feeling anything other than those things.
Man, hearing you talk about all that stuff, as much crap that Greggo went through, put himself through. Here we are in 2022, and you guys are sitting here together, and hearing you talk about all this stuff, I never really thought about the amount of weight, emotional weight, and angst that you have carried for this long.
Yeah. It's been tough.
You can drop that. You can put those bags down.
Yeah, I know. I know. And
and I know that you'll do that as long as it serves you. You'll keep holding on to them as long as it serves you for whatever reason that it is.
Well, but I'm not looking for it to serve me. And to a certain extent, I've done that.
Yeah. I mean, we're here.
I mean, yeah, if I hadn't done that, then we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be doing this.
Well, I think that's progress on both of your parts.
It is, but it also
really
applies to who they are, because if you don't have a documentary made about you or have a radio show, you wouldn't almost be forced to have this interaction and thereby drop those bags. And I think a lot of people listening never extend that olive branch or accept that olive branch, and they live with that anger or that baggage for the rest of their lives when they really don't have to.
And that's probably true. That's probably very true, but a lot of the time it takes some sort of catalyst.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like having a radio show or a documentary made about you, or I don't know, whatever the case may be, for to bring stuff like this about.
Go ahead.
I got a text this morning before I left from Crystal Vasquez.
Yeah, Crystal is the one who shot the documentary. She conceived and produced the documentary.
And she told me, hey, good luck, come in here today. And I texted her back and said, you're the one that made this possible. And I really believe that.
Yeah, she is.
I really believe that, because it was still a big, thick block of ice when we finished that.
It was.
But you know what? But we had hit it. somebody had hit it and it was cracked.
Yeah, and without that, then
Yep.
I doubt very seriously that we're here having this conversation today.
And by the way, that's one of the better documentaries I've ever seen. I'm not just saying that.
That's good.
I really am.
It's really good.
It's really, really good.
No, that's on her. She did a terrific job.
Yeah.
All right, we're here at the Diamond Factory. Mike Reiner, Greg Williams, reuniting, kicking it around, and
Telling you what went wrong,
Yeah,
and
that-
how
we- well,
and why.
we did
and
that
just bumming everybody out.
for a couple segments. We're going to flip it on the other side and have a little bit of fun with some fun memories, pranks. Greg, anything that comes to mind? I already have some questions trickling in that we're going to cover in the Fax Fodder online, but they've reminded me of some hilarious moments too. So let's crank it up and start having a little bit of fun. Sound good, boys?
Let's.
Good.
Let's. All right, that's
We're
next
fine
here
with
on the
that.
Downbeat.
Man, it's good to hear you boys back together. Feel like I'm in my 20s again. Hey, Rhines, love you, buddy. Glad you're back on the air. Greggo, love you. I'm glad you're straight. Glad everything's going good for you. I hope it is. And 97.1 The Freak is awesome with Danny's and Groobs and Julie. Love you, boys. See ya.
This is the Downbeat on 97.1 The Freak.
What? You all right?
There's some return music. Me, huh?
Take it, man.
All day.
All right.
All day.
The time is 9 minutes past 5 o'clock. And we are out today at the Diamond Factory. We being, of course, me, Daniel Bayless, Michael Sirois, Shale, as he's known to some.
Very few.
And yes, we're out here at the Diamond Factory today. We will be here until 7 tonight. But this is not about us today. This is about who is out here with us. And the guy who is out here with us is none other than the great hammer, Greg Williams. Our longtime compadre back in the day over at the other place. And we're kicking things around. We're talking freely, openly, honestly about what happened, why, in a way that we never have before. And I don't know why it's taken this long for it to happen, but I'm a big believer that things happen in their own way, in their own time, and today is the way and the time of this thing. And it is happening, and it is on.
And here we are.
You all right?
Yeah, yeah.
You having fun?
I'm having. Are you kidding? I'm having a blast, but I haven't done this since 2013. Think about that. I haven't done this,
Yeah.
and it's not like riding a bicycle.
That's a long time. That's a long time. I had a little, shall we say, gap in there as well. And I kind of fell off the bicycle, and it took a little while for me to get back on it. In fact, I'm still not sure I'm out of trainer wheels yet.
I knew you were going to be back.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I knew you. I didn't know how. I knew. You know why? Because you're a lot like me with free time. You don't have any hobbies, and you got bored, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Did you not get bored?
I did not. I did just fine with it.
Golly,
I know that sounds weird, and it surprised the hell out of me, but I was completely okay with it, and I really grew to a place very quickly where I liked the idea that on a given day, whatever time I had was my own, and I could do whatever I wanted to with it.
to where every day's a Friday,
Yeah.
but then every day's a Monday too.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Are you going to celebrate by going to a water park?
Okay, Mike, come on. I mean, that wasn't that bad of a one, Mike. That wasn't that bad of a
And if I
one.
wanted to celebrate by going to a water park, I would. I never did, but I would have.
Every day's a Friday, but it sounds like a Cure song.
No,
or
it
something.
sounded so smart that I was trying to catch up.
Yeah.
It was very good.
I'll tell you one thing,
What's the
Greggo's
last
got
water
it.
park you went to, Greggo?
The last water park?
Yeah, tell me your water park history.
I've never been to a water park in my life.
See, good answer.
Come on.
One thing that
Never been
Greggo,
one.
you must be thrilled about being on this show and this station right now is that we have 0 drops of yours to play. You haven't
Until
gotten
tomorrow.
Beaten, you haven't gotten beaten down. Get the clothes off, bitch, or
okay,
absolutely you bitch, or any of that stuff.
Okay, we're not finished with back there just yet. Okay,
What?
I got a couple questions.
All right.
All right.
Why in the world would you keep playing those drops like you did of me?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't the
Shoopy.
one playing them.
Yeah, but you could have put a stop to it real quick.
He's right, Shoopy.
Ask Grooves that. Ask Grooves that same question. Grooves?
No, I'm not going to ask Grooves because Grooves he's operating on Ryan.
Yeah,
Well, Ryan doesn't care.
But Group,
I just want. There has to be
But he is the devil.
because I was as toxic as anybody could get. My name was Mud, but yet you would play a drop of it.
Well, after I walked away, they played drops of me. They still might, for all I know. I don't know.
I never really understood that because I'd get people, on the street say, "Hey, man, they play your drops all the time. Why?" I'm like, I don't know.
Well,
it seems like they want to
the best reasons I can give you is because number one, they were funny. Number two, like it or not, and I probably didn't at that time, but like it or not, they were part of the fabric of the show.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. With the addition of, they were hilarious. You're part of the history of that station, part of the building of that station, and people, regardless of how things went down, it's not like people stopped caring about you or people stopped loving you. And people liked you.
Oh, they did.
Not everybody.
The whole world, they hated me.
Okay, ding 'em.
The whole world, everybody in the world hated me.
People liked
even God hated me.
Yeah, look, I never intended to scrub
God
you
hates you.
from the history of the radio.
Yes, you
station.
did.
No,
because
Greggo,
you did,
I didn't. No, I did
because
not.
you didn't put my name on the 25th anniversary wall.
Well, that happened to a lot of people.
Well, first of all,
And I know that you're the guy that had the chisel.
No,
I know
I did
I know
not.
that you were chiseling everything in.
I
He
did
was out
not.
there for a full week chiseling names. And he
Yes.
intentionally left you off.
I had the chisel and I left your ass off.
Well, I couldn't
So
blame
get
you.
your ass hung up on now, you idiot.
Hey, that's mine.
When somebody called and alerted me of that, it didn't surprise me. It really did. Because that was the time that I was coming into, this is your fault. This isn't anybody else's fault. You need to start taking inventory of what you did and the damage that you did. So, wasn't really that big a deal.
Well, you should have been there. I don't know if I had anything to do with it, but if I did, that was a mistake on my part. You should have been there because you were a big part of the fabric of the station, and you always will be, no matter what anybody may think about it.
I had so many people. I had a lot of people wanted me to go out there, but I wasn't about to because I didn't want to. I knew if I went out there, it would turn into this, and that would piss you off so bad.
It probably would have.
It would have pissed you off so bad, and
It very well might have.
you didn't want me to go out there and be popular. You didn't want to see that, and I don't think anybody knows you real well, but I know you well enough that was not.
I probably would have felt like you'd have been trying to hijack the thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I didn't go.
Missed a good time.
I know. Miss ticket stock.
Boy, I don't.
Greg, you told me in the break you had two things you remember about Mike. What was it? Most shocked you'd ever seen him? And
This is the I get asked this question a lot, but the only time that I've ever seen Ryan starry-eyed. Now you got to remember, we'd covered, everything. So we covered Dan Marino, we covered Magic Johnson, we covered Michael Jordan. We're just right there. The biggest names there was. Ryan's, it might as well be, Joe down the hall,
Mm-hmm.
But there was one guy. You know where I'm going, Ryan?
Go ahead.
Man, we went to the old Drew Pearson's 88 Grill, and we did a couple segments with the great Johnny Unitas. And he showed up in person.
Oh, wow. What kind of shape was he in?
Good shape. He really was, yeah.
Okay.
He looked okay. I don't know what was going on upstairs, really.
I mean, look around this table.
Yeah.
You have to ask that question every day.
We haven't had our brains beaten out by the violent world of Sam Huff and those guys, for years and years.
But he was so starry-eyed that he couldn't talk.
Really?
I mean, he was just mumbling.
Johnny Unitas was my first favorite football player as a kid, because when I was starting to get sports consciousness, I was into baseball first, but not long after that, I got into football and the NFL, and at that time, the Baltimore Colts were the reigning power in the NFL, and Johnny Unitas was the quarterback. And I started reading up about Johnny Unitas, and I read up about how he could will his team to win. And I saw pictures of him with his flat top and those crazy buck teeth of his, smiling and everything. And then we had him on the air out there at Drew Pearson's place, and we didn't know how long we were going to have him, but we were talking to him. He seemed to be into it and everything. And I think that we'd been told that it was going to be time for him to go. And so before we went, we asked him to do another segment with us. And his answer to, could you stay and do one more segment with us, was suits the S out of me.
Oh, and he said it.
Yeah, he said it.
He said it. And the most stunned that I've ever seen him was, we were at a remote one time, I think somewhere around this area.
Okay.
But we were at a remote, and this girl came up. Kind of skanky looking, but, doable.
That's the hammer.
He's back.
And
Hammer is back.
And so
the hammer is still the hammer.
And so she rolls up there, and she starts talking to us about the show and this and that. And somehow she mentioned that she had a double mastectomy. Remember this, Ron?
No.
Oh, yeah, you do. You do. And
It'll come back to you.
And she goes, yeah, I had a double mastectomy. Look, remember when she pulled that shirt up?
Yeah.
So she pulled her shirt up, and there were no boobies. I mean,
No boobies.
I mean, they were like scars.
Yeah, we get it.
And oh
Yeah.
man, I don't know if she's getting replacement surgery or not, but there were no boobs there at all.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's what a mastectomy means. Is they remove.
Yeah, and boy, they did.
Yeah,
they did a good job. They got all of them.
Yep. Yeah.
And
I
Ron,
never had seen that before.
neither had I. I mean, just like train tracks.
I get it. Yes, we know it's an unfortunate situation that happened, and she went through a lot to get there, and we're glad she's alive. I'm sorry that it put
I
her
asked her
off
what
so
happened.
badly.
I asked her what happened to her nipples.
Oh my God! Here we go. Like, where were they, or
Yeah, I wanted one.
what do you have over there, Mikey? For Greggo,
keep going.
That's the hammer.
that's the hammer.
Keep going.
Well, anyway, he was stunned.
I'm stunned right now hearing about it.
Yeah, I'm stunned remembering it.
Well, that's a little sports story I thought I'd share with y'all.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get asked all the time what your favorite memory from back in the day was, but I mean, do you have a couple that come to mind that
It's impossible.
Really?
To come up with one. I mean, it's just it's that's probably the question that I get asked about this business more than anything, and you just can't do it. I'll sit here and think of one, and then a day later I'll think, oh no, this is the one.
Yeah.
What it was. I mean, they were just it was just so chaotic.
Man, not many people have had the charmed existence that we had back in the day.
Oh,
I mean, it just seemed like everything that happened, everything that needed to go right for us to be able to continue or to be able to take the next step or whatever, everything that had to happen did.
And there was an element of mystery to it as well, because it was the advent of social media and smartphones, and the ability to text a photo to somebody else took, it was near impossible to do. So if these guys were on remote, you would drive to Wizards. You'd go to Richardson and drive up 75 to go to a pool hall just to, what are they doing? What does this look like? What do these guys look like? What's a radio remote? It was kind of an event. It was a thing.
And then when you were there, you'd see it's a couple guys sitting around talking.
Right. Yeah. You're going and watching someone do radio, much like you guys are doing right now. But those remotes would be packed.
Do you guys all feel foolish yet?
I still credit the remotes with the success of what we built because we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, hey, how much does it cost to do a remote? How much you got? Well, $500. Well, we'll be there. And so we got out more than any other station. 10 times more than any other station. And so when you get out, then you can shake hands and meet people. You're just not this faceless voice out of a box.
Right.
And I think that helped us more than anything.
Yeah, I did too, because back then the extent of remotes were like bring in the weekend parties some Friday afternoon or something like that. We were out there a couple, 3 times a week, sometimes more than that at the very height of it. And yeah, that was massive in the growth and development and just getting the word out there about us.
Because I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but still one of the great, I don't know if it's a mystery, was when we had the first get-together. Remember that? The first big get-together where we had it over in off Beltline and Valley Ranch.
Like a guys' night out kind of thing?
Yeah. The very first one, Ron. Were we
half-year party, someone's...
No, it wasn't even a half year.
That guy looks like
This is John C. He
John
knows.
C.
He knows.
Hey, there's John
But we
C.
were-
Yeah, he knows, and he's probably got all his mental faculties much more than we do.
But that was the first one. That was the first one that we had, and you were saying, hey, if we get 50 people, that's going to be great.
Yeah.
And then didn't we get like 600 or so?
It was huge. It was so much more than we had possibly imagined it would be. It wasn't even funny.
And that's when the thought crossed my mind, man, this may work.
Yeah.
Man,
This may work.
We were just, I was walking around the room, and I'd come up to one of the other guys, and we'd just look at each other like, man, can you believe this? And it was impossible to even conceive. Because, we used to do things like that at the zoo, and we'd get, maybe 100 people in there and think, man, that was really kick-ass.
You get 100 people at a radio remote, that's a lot.
Yeah, and we'd think that's pretty kick-ass. Well, here is this little AM sports rinky-dink. It's been on the air for what, 2 months or so, something like that?
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
And by then, without us even knowing it or having any idea about it, we had stirred up so much noise out there that happened.
And
that massive crowd showed up just to see, okay, let's find out more about this. Let's find out who these people are. Because nobody knew us. We were no names,
And people, you could tell that they paid attention and really listened because they'd bring up stuff that you knew.
Yes. It was amazing. It was really unbelievable. Maybe we'll get to have some.
Hey,
yeah.
had about 100 rolled through here.
But we
today.
did. We ordered T-shirts that night to sell.
First time?
24 of them. 24
You're
T-shirts
kidding.
to sell.
Yeah.
That was the minimum order, huh? It was 24.
24 T-shirts.
To me, that was shooting high.
That's
Wow. You guys thought like 6 people were going to roll through there, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We
did.
We weren't on the air that long, and we got no coverage, and there's no social media to like, hey, everybody meet us there.
Yeah.
Was it the Yucatan liquor stand? I'm going nuts. I can't think of what that place
Yeah,
was.
it might have been the Yucatan liquid stand.
John.
Yacht Club.
The Yacht Club.
What yacht club?
Oh, okay.
The Yucatan Yacht Club?
Yeah, that's right. I remember this. I thought it was too far. It seemed too far for me to drive up. Wizards was a stretch for me back then. I think the first time I ever met you guys in person was I brought Mike a sack of tasty turkey and mustard sandwiches to Wizards, and that was my first interaction in person to you guys.
I'll pay you back for that.
No, it's
someday.
fine. I made them myself too at home.
That was awfully nice of you.
10 turkey sandwiches and just brought them and set them on y'all's table. He's like rifling through. I'm like, what is this? Who is that guy? Oh, that's that guy that faxes all the time.
Yeah, that was Danny in Lake Highlands.
Yeah.
Danny Lake Highlands.
It was like 1995 or 6. Unbelievable.
All right, let's stay on time. Keep having a little bit of fun. We got Greg the Hammer Williams joining us here at the Diamond Factory. I want to ask about when you accidentally started a fire in studio and freaked out about it. Ask about your infamous Chief Kunkel interview. Why not? Kick around anything we want. If you have any questions you'd like to ask the Hammer or ask Mike Reiner, you can hit us at Downbeat DFW, and we will cover as many as we can a little bit later in the show. But we are live, man, at the Diamond Factory on Omega Road and Alpha right here in Addison, and it's good times. We encourage you to come by, check out the Diamond Factory, and check out us.
Mike and the Hammer, it's so great to hear y'all talk again, and today is my birthday. I couldn't have asked for a better birthday gift. I listened to y'all when I was younger, and Mike, I'm so happy that you're back on the air, and I love you guys. I'm enjoying it, and I'm listening every day. You're the best.
You're listening to the Downbeat.
All right, that old time reads 5:34 here. And yes, indeed, you are listening to the Downbeat on 97.1 The Freak. I still have to look down at this stack of stickers every time I say that to make sure I get it right.
How many times have you said the other place?
Just once.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a $100 bet who was going to say it first, and he lost on day 2.
Yeah.
Never paid me either.
You know how many times I've screwed it up?
How many?
None. You know why?
Why?
Because I'm like you. They don't let me do formatics.
Oh, they got to
You want to do formatics?
No.
You want to do?
I want to be the.
You want to do formatics?
I want to be the new Hammer.
I want to do formatics.
Can I be new Hammer?
I want to do formatics.
That's the Hammer.
There's massive shoes to fill. I could never be the new Hammer. But yeah, they don't let me do formatics. They know what they're getting
We let
into.
them do it once per day. That's what we've been doing.
It's usually like 5:30, which should have been now.
We're cutting that out.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't want to.
You can do the next one.
I don't want to do that, and I don't want to poo-poo.
All right, Greg, story of when you started a fire in studio.
Do you remember this?
No.
You don't remember that at all?
I remember that I did start a fire, but I can't remember how I did it.
Do you remember this?
I remember when it happened.
Do you know why?
I don't remember the details too much.
Greggo's,
I just remember his reaction.
Because in Greggo's obsessive nature, where he used to collect lunchboxes, M16s, motorcycles, there was other things too. He decided that he wanted to bring candles into the studio.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to bring some candles into the studio, and just kind of lower the lights, and we'll just have
Feng
candlelight in
shui.
there.
Yeah.
Just kind of get a little vibe going in the Ticket Studio.
Well, actually, I did it because everybody in there farted all the time.
There's like a bunch of monkeys in there.
Most people don't know this, but he actually suggested that we do the show nude in there with the candles and everything too.
So he's got.
But then I remembered the dolphin rule, and that was going to make it
you
impossible.
have to adhere to the dolphin rule. So he had these candles in there, probably like 3 or 4 of them, and of course they're sitting right on the table. And back then these guys got their information from a newspaper. So Greggo is reading the newspaper. And that paper's so thin, and the second a flame hits it doesn't just slow burn; it just goes up. And that thing went up in flames, and
I thought I was starting a fire on Naked and Afraid.
I don't think you knew what was happening until it was damn near too late. And
it was a big flame.
It was on the air too.
Yeah. I think I cussed.
No.
Oh, damn.
Oh, damn. And Mike's just standing there going, whoa, wow.
I was well away from the fire.
Do you
remember this, Kevin?
You were already gone.
I was actually filling in for Justin Neely that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
this is
so
on the
I was bored
Justin
after
Neely
that.
I
watch.
think Kevin Scott ran in there with a cup of coffee and put it out.
Yeah, and me and Corby were just dying laughing at it.
Oh, I was
from what I remember.
Yeah, like Greggo's going to burn the damn studio down.
No,
so
you literally said that to me at one point in the control room, Danny.
I said what?
Greggo's going to burn the damn room down.
With his candles.
And
I think Mike said something in fact, yeah, great idea with those candles. And they were gone the next day.
They were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Expo
couldn't use them anymore.
Expo grabbed me and said to ask about the prank on Danny that Reiner didn't get on an airplane.
Someday Danny, you'll understand.
Okay.
This may be the cruelest prank that was ever done.
Tell me everything, Greg.
Well, we were in California, Cowboys training camp, and it was wasn't it the Sunday runs? We were off that day. It was one of those days where you travel and you're off, and so we were driving around, and so for some reason we called Danny, and I don't know why, but we just said, oh, Reiner didn't make it. And you go, what do you mean Reiner didn't make it?
He missed
didn't
his,
get
they
on-
said he
he
missed
get
his
on plane.
flight.
Yeah.
And so then we got the bright idea, okay, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep on doing it, and we're going to keep on adding elements to it.
And record all of it.
And record every bit of it.
Every one of the phone conversations.
And so we were just riding around California, L.A., and every once in a while we'd go, oh, we need to call Danny. And we'd call him up and just come up with some just ridiculous concept.
Now, keep in mind, I had been on the Hardline probably about 2 or 3 months at the time. And I guess this was my initiation, but it's Corby and Greggo and Mike out there and whoever else is on that training camp trip. And they're riding around in a cab. And, you know, it just ended up being this thing where I believe that Mike didn't make the flight and that he wasn't going to make the flight. And he was contemplating even whether he wanted to go out there or not.
Contemplate whether he wanted to even do the show.
Yeah, and I
was contemplating my entire existence.
Yeah. He was just like off on this kind of this walkabout. But I was talking to Mike as well. I didn't know he was not in. You know, I didn't realize he was in California. I thought he was at home, and he was real cryptic about it. Maybe I'll go out there. Maybe I won't. I don't know. All of this just goes back and forth in my mind. I'm really worried about the guy because I'm thinking, man, he's having problems with his wife at the time, and maybe they're going through some difficult stuff, and he was just but it was just so nonsensical and cryptic.
The funny part is that you know, me and Corby were calling Danny.
Yeah.
And then Danny was calling Rhines, who was sitting next to me.
Yeah, they're sitting in the cab next to one another. So this
but we're playing like that.
Every time I would get off the phone with him, we would add another layer to this.
Right. Every time.
It became so that we didn't remember what we'd said.
Yeah.
And the funny part was, and I'll never forget this, was that in my part, I was the bad cop. So I'd call Danny, and Danny, you got to do something about this.
Yeah.
Danny, you got to do something, man.
You need to call him. You need to get him on the phone.
On and on and on. So then Corby calls, and he mentioned my name, and Danny goes, "Did you tell that son of a bitch to shut up?" Said, "I'm tired of his ass calling me up. I can't do a damn thing here, and you got Greggo back there screaming at me."
Yeah. So it all kind of culminates to the scenario where Mike is fine. It's Sunday. Mike is going to fly out to California, but the problem is he ended up at DFW Airport, and he has no money, and he hasn't eaten.
He's hungry.
He's hungry. So I'm on the phone. He's like, I'm at Gate C or Terminal C, Gate 38. If you, I don't know, man, can you like bring me like $50 and a hamburger? I'm like, yeah, I get you because sure, and I believed it.
Rhines was brilliant.
Yeah, he was great.
He was brilliant as an actor.
So here I am driving to DFW Airport, making the drive through Whataburger. I've got a sack of Whataburgers in my hand. I go to the ATM and take out cash so he'll have some walking around money.
They did ask for walking around money.
Walking around money. And I show up at the airport, and I'm walking around this terminal, and he's like, yeah, I'm over here. No, I think I see you. Is that you? I'm like, no, dude, I'm right here in front of this place. Meet me right here. I'm not moving. And then he ended up saying, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going back home. So I'm like, what do you want me to do with this damn hamburger? I don't know. I think he said, you can have it. So meanwhile, one of their operatives, Joe Michael, is in on the gag, goes to the airport. This is back before 9/11. Well, it was before 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can actually get to the terminal, get to the gate. He's following around with a real camera, and taking photographs of me,
and
like surveillance cameras.
And he just got out of surgery 2 days before, and he was on crutches.
Yeah. So I give up. Mike's changed his mind. He's not going to California. So I drive back to the house. Meanwhile, I'm married at the time, and my wife was not happy about any of this, that it was ruining our weekend together. Didn't bother me that much. But anyway, so I'm driving back to 183, and I look over at that sack of Whataburgers, like, I'm kind of hungry. So I just eating a Whataburger, spoiled my dinner, which she was cooking dinner, and she wasn't happy about that. We were divorced like 6 months later. Anyway.
And see, we let Danny stew on that.
I stewed on this
for a whole day.
The whole weekend.
All Sunday.
Yeah.
And we didn't reveal that Ryan's was right there with us because Danny doesn't think he's doing the show.
Yeah.
And he didn't know until after the theme that Ryan's came on and go, okay.
Yeah. Ryan's comes on and starts bringing it back. And so at that point, I'm thinking he's in another studio, like at the Cliff studio, doing the show from Dallas. And I'm like, wait a second, you're there? And he goes, yep. There is no you made some cryptic thing about there is no Palm Island, but there is I don't know.
No, that's a different
he
and a
used
much spring training thing.
He used that though in that
But there is a Palm Island.
There is a Palm Island. But yeah, he was out of California the whole time, and I think I cussed on the air and had to get dumped. But it was pretty elaborate.
The thing about that
should have never happened
because we thought that was the most elaborate. And we were so proud of ourselves for doing it, and the P1s hated it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
because it was so.
Yeah. I mean, it was
because you know I became a sympathetic figure.
Yes.
Because I looked good for caring about my friend.
Yeah.
And
when they're
ruining my
just
entire weekend to help this guy out and make sure that he's okay by taking him $50 in a
walking around money.
Hunger Buster. Or
walking around money.
Walking around money. Yeah.
All right. Well, I have a question about a time that Reiner was not there, in fact, and I guess that would have been when you, Greggo, were charged with interviewing the chief of police, Chief David Kunkel.
You know, Ron, can I just get this purged?
No,
you can't.
I mean, am I ever going to get?
We don't have.
No, you're not.
Saying us.
You're not. You're not. Look, how many things do you think I would like purged? About 1 million.
What about ham?
So what happened there? Did Ryan's he called in sick or had the day off, and you were doing a solo interview with the
Ryan's
chief?
never called in sick.
He wasn't there, if I recall, right?
He wasn't. I think he might have been on vacation.
Yeah, he's on vacation, and you were doing you decided you didn't want to take vacation at the same time Mike did, so for a few days we would run in a +1 with you. Because Corby wasn't there either. It was you and me, and then you brought in the big unit. To co-host with you that day, and you were booking a bunch of guests,
right.
And I'm going to take control of this. It's the way it should have been. We don't need Mike. I've got this.
I was probably thinking that.
There is no doubt.
It's a joke. But I'm going to show that I can do this thing without him and bringing in guests. So we got the chief of police, David Kunkel, at the time. And
do you remember? Were you nervous about the interview? Do you recall? I mean,
I just can't talk.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not about, I can't do this.
But if you ask
can't do radio. I can't do it.
If you ask someone, do you like your gig?
Yeah.
They say yes, and then it'd be hard to put yourself back in that position. But what possibly could lead to your second question being, no, do you like your job?
Panic.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
pure
panic.
Pure panic.
Yeah, mental panic. And I get it.
And not being good at it. I'm not good at this. But I thought I was, and I thought I could fake it. And it was just dreadful. And, well, they couldn't wait to tell Ryan's that story when he got back.
They had the audio waiting for him.
Couldn't wait for that. Bastards.
Those were good times.
Oh, boy.
I just remember looking in that window.
I appreciated that.
What in the world is going on right now? And I don't think I did much to help bail you out either.
No, you never did. Danny's the human twister.
Oh, he's the master of letting you twist.
He's a twister, man.
Well, we don't have any purge ability. We don't have that audio, obviously.
Although, if I'd have thought about this earlier, you know what I'd have brought your sorry ass, don't you?
What?
I'd have brought it to you.
Oh, the ZZ Top CD?
Crunchy.
Yeah.
Crunchy.
He got me good with that one.
I'd bring you Crunchy.
What's that?
Okay, so ZZ Top came out with this new song, and we debuted it, and it was called Crunchy. And Groobs, if you have it, feel free to pull it up. And we did it on Spinner Spare, and it was horrible.
Awful.
It was really bad. Here it is.
But I love ZZ Top.
Okay. Did you like the song or no?
No,
Not immediately, no?
They haven't done anything good since Stress Hombre, but I still like it.
So me and Corby just kept telling, Greggo, this is your favorite song. You love this. And back then we were, shared a studio or a facility with an FM radio station. They sent promo copies of CDs. We had a copy of the Crunchy CD. So we would just put it everywhere Greggo was going to be.
Well, the
we
first
put it
one
on
you
his
did,
desk.
you put it in my lunchbox.
Put it in his lunchbox. We'd put it on his desk. We'd put it at his broadcast site. We would sneak it into different places where, Greggo would be. And I think one time I put it under your windshield,
yes,
or something like that.
But then I went and taped it to your windshield.
onto my windshield with an entire roll of duct tape.
An entire roll.
The entire windshield.
An entire roll.
With the crunchy CD right in the middle. You couldn't see out of it, so I had to get out there and peel duct tape off of my windshield. But the ultimate was when I was playing a gig at Club Dada, and who was the operative you hired? It was Ray Whaley. That
Ray Whaley.
bastard. They drilled a hole.
I was good at hiring operatives.
Yes, they drilled a hole in the jewel case of the crunchy CD, and with one pair of handcuffs, with one cuff, clipped it to the CD, and with the other cuff, I walk off stage after playing a gig, and this guy runs up and slaps it on my wrist and runs off into the deep Ellum night, and I'm stuck wearing handcuffs the rest of the entire weekend. You won.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you
quit after that.
Yeah, what else was I going to do? I mean,
Well,
because the next step for Greggo would just be to walk up and have somebody shoot you. I win. You're dead.
No, you know what I was going to do? And I was going to do this because I was stupid enough. I was going to hire a ZZ Top tribute band to go play in your front yard. I was going to put them in your – hey, I was going to do that, dude.
How much? 10 grand? I got it. No problem. Oh, my God. Yeah, it was years and years of just kicking the ball back and forth to mess with each other.
I mean, it was every day.
It was a blast.
I mean, it was every day that, you know, you'd walk in, and at some point, it felt like somebody kicked you right in the nuts.
Yeah. It was like hanging out with the members of Jackass, except there really was never any real fear of physical harm.
Yeah.
It was more emotional abuse.
And, boy, any kind of weakness – that guy
he could sense it.
Any kind of weakness.
Me?
Yeah.
No, not me. I let people alone.
And then you got Danny and Corby over there conspiring.
There's a lot of conspiracies.
There were.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ganging up.
And a lot of bullying.
Yeah, you were a bully. You were a bully at the time because when we go to spring training, the first thing we would always do is go to the grocery store and go shopping, you know, because you'd have the little mini fridge. And one time Greggo he had his little basket and, you know, he was getting things to have for the week. And Corby and I would just roll by and just throw just random items in his cart. So when he gets up there, it's like, you know, tampons and feminine products and just random stuff. But there was this one jar of mole sauce. Like, what are you going to do with that?
Well, I put it on your doorknob.
No, what he did didn't put it on our doorknob. When we were away, and it ended up, that was one that snuck through, and you end up getting back to your room, and you open it up. It's like, what? I didn't buy mole sauce.
Well,
realize we did it, and then he goes to our hotel room and pours it into the key card slot. So when we get back to our hotel, it won't work, and they have to go in and move us to another room because they needed to replace this probably $1,200 piece of equipment that Greggo destroyed. No, that was your bully. Greggo's parents took no thought. It was just like, what can I?
I don't know. I think that takes a little bit of thought to pour mole sauce down a key card thing.
Now, you remember the grocery store we went to, don't you? It was at Fiesta, and we were in San Antonio.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And man, it looked like a remake of the Alamo down there, man. And I'll never forget. I was over there looking at stuff, and I guess the Mexican culture, they will go ahead and eat a cow head.
A cow head?
Yeah, there was a cow head in the meat department.
Why didn't you get that?
I thought about it. But it was a big cow head, or it might have been a pig. I don't know. It was some kind of head.
You don't know if it was a cow or a pig?
It was one of them. Well, they had
which one?
Well, they had all the hide pulled off of it.
I think it was a cow.
Yeah,
you saw it in the
so. Yeah, I think it was a cow.
What are you going to do with that? Make cheese?
The thought of getting that did not cross my mind. I just saw it.
The thought of getting that out of that store and getting it in Danny's bed was in mine.
Yeah.
Just love to do a reenactment.
I'm looking it up.
Godfather.
Barbacoa, I think. Isn't that cheek? I'm guessing that's probably what cow head led to make barbacoa. I think it's cheek meat.
I don't know. If you can't buy it at Tom Thumb or Kroger, I don't eat it.
Tom Thumb or Kroger.
The hammer.
And
that's the hammer.
I mean, that Fiesta they will throw some stuff out there.
Yeah.
Great produce, though. Fiesta has awesome produce, and quite affordable.
You like ham?
Yes, Mike, it's fine.
Greg, answer Groobs. Do you like ham?
Do I like ham? That's one of the things that my heart doctors are getting me off of, pork.
Well, that's shocking.
So
Pork's not good for your heart.
So there's no ham for you?
No ham. But
what about ham?
But I'm not worried about the no ham. I'm worried about the no bacon.
Right.
And I really haven't adhered to that.
The hammer loves his bacon.
I
was fairly clean, Shoopy.
Yeah. No.
Oh, don't you worry, Shoopy.
God.
Yeah, forever. A never-ending loop. Bacon, that's number one still, or you try to kick it?
Yeah, I like bacon. Yeah. It's pretty good.
Roast beef.
I bought me one of those air fryers. You ever seen those?
Oh, yeah, man. I use it every day.
You can cook some bacon on those.
Yeah?
Yeah. Air fryer.
What's the best thing you cook? Like if some person that you had to
I
impress,
don't,
they're
man.
coming to your house and you had to cook for them. What are you making?
I'd send out DoorDash.
How do those things fry air?
No, they're air fryers. I mean, it's like air.
Well, yeah, I know. How do they fry air? Isn't that what it's for, fried air?
You're ridiculous. No? You know what they are. You probably have one. Look at him laughing. Can't even keep it in. He's going to turn into Mr. Tomato Head in a minute.
But no, you don't want me cooking, Mike.
No?
I'm horrible.
How about the grill? You can't handle the grill? You seem to me like a guy.
I have never cooked anything on the grill that I didn't burn it.
Really?
Never.
What about ham?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
God, how could you guys stand this stuff? Oh, man.
It's crazy.
Mashed
Funny, man.
potatoes?
Good to have you here. What else? Anything
really?
else in the good memory department? Anything random?
Man, there was like I said, there were so many that you just can't pick one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, I don't know that the Green Bay Gordo arrest will ever be beat. I mean, because that was the range of emotions that we went through.
And it was happening in real time
Yes.
on
Yeah.
the air.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it was just amazing. And,
Yeah.
and the whole thing, what was amazing was that we thought we were in trouble. We thought we were going to get fired. And quite the opposite. And it became legendary.
Yeah, for sure.
But at the time, we didn't think so. And we damn sure didn't like it that Gordo had the rent car keys in his pocket.
No? Could have done without that.
And then we had to put, 4 of us in that broad's Camaro.
Let's take a ride to the prison
The hammer.
or the jail.
No, we had to go pick Gordo up from the clink.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the rental car, so they had to hitch a ride from
And the
a
girl
server
that-
at the restaurant they were broadcasting from, and she gave him a ride to the jail to get him
Yeah?
out. Yeah.
And she had a Camaro.
Had to get money wired because none of them had any cash.
Right.
Yeah, I thought they were going to get fired. That was a long time ago. Long time ago. What are we doing next, Mikey?
I think that's the one thing we penciled in for you guys to actually talk Rangers baseball, just like you used to do back in the day. You can throw a little TCU in if you want to do that, but why not the return of, I guess, was it Diamond Talk? You guys the first ever incarnation of Diamond Talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
That
did
would have been us.
We did the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figure why not, right?
Yeah,
Talk
and they
a little
did
Rangers
it.
baseball.
And they did it, and they would be doing it to this day for free.
Yep.
Because they love doing it for free.
No, I
so
don't want to
much.
do that. I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
All right, we'll come back in just a minute. A little baseball talk with Greg the Hammer Williams joining Mike Reiner for the first time on the air in like 15 years. And we're doing it all live at the Diamond Factory here in Farmers Branch right next to Addison. Be back in just a moment.
60 more minutes of the downbeat. 60 more minutes of the downbeat. 60 more minutes of the downbeat. Let's party.
Man, something about today just feels right, hearing both of you on the air together, getting along. Greg, I'm glad that you're healthy and continued success with that. Boys, stay hard, keep jamming, and we'll see you.
You're listening to The Downbeat on 97.1 The Freak.
Yes, indeed, you are. The Downbeat. I would be Mike Reiner.
I would be Greg Williams.
There it is.
Hey.
There it is.
Along with Danny, Mikey, Yvonne, over here twisting and tweaking. And we are here at the Diamond Factory today. Having a great time. Good to see everybody. Seeing a lot of old people from back in the day that we used to know and don't see that much anymore. And it's been really, really cool. We've had the Hammer out here all day. And it's been a great time. A great time to talk about stuff and how it came down, why it came down, and talk about it in a way that you probably haven't heard us talk about it before. It's been almost therapeutic. But, yes, we got about an hour to go here. And how would you boys suggest that we spend this next hour?
Well, one thing we were going to, because you guys had the 60 minutes left, so we did that, but we're going to have Greggo do the formatics and bring it back.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
And they said,
No, I'm not going to do that.
No, maybe next break you can try it, but what's the drop you said that came out of that when it happened once?
One time I think Greggo demanded, this is a long time ago, Greggo's like, I want to do some formatics. I want to take a more active role in the show. And Mike was like, okay, help yourself.
Knowing that I'd hang myself.
Played the return cut, and I don't know if you remember this, but the first thing that came out of your mouth was you screamed, all right! And that was how you brought it back from break.
Yeah, I'm pretty poor at that.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at formatics.
I get it.
Wasn't there another one where he said, hey, we're back?
Yeah. Well, a lot of times you had to, but you were left without a choice because Mike might have taken longer to his bathroom trip than expected, and you'd be stuck in there by yourself and have to bring it back. And
Well, that bathroom was a long way away.
Panic. Oh, that would be panic.
it seemed like as the years went on, the longer you spent in there.
Well,
That's
yeah,
what it was.
That happens.
Yeah.
That happens as you will find out if you haven't already.
Will you ever?
So in like 20 minutes or so, we're going to do Fax Fodder Online Edition. We have a ton of questions. And again, I'll just give you the little teaser that some of them, I don't know where the line is or what. I'm not going to filter them. If you
We
guys,
never filter fax fodder.
All right, if you want to answer them, you can. If not, you don't need to. You can say pass. So if anybody wants to participate in that and you haven't gotten any tweets in yet, at Downbeat DFW would be the spot for that. And I'll tell you this, Greg, and tell all y'all this, that about a third of the tweets are just people enjoying this, honestly. People really happy to hear that you're doing pretty well these days and just blown away by having you two back together for one day.
They said it couldn't be done.
That seems to be the prevalent reaction to this. Is it's fun, funny for sure, but people are just happy to hear you back on the air for one day.
Well, I certainly appreciate it.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you start appreciating things when they're gone. You never appreciate them when you have them.
Yeah.
And believe me, I don't take anything for granted anymore.
I think I know the answer that you'd probably say you miss doing it regularly. One wish, is that what you wish you were still doing this?
I don't know that I could take the rigors of, doing this all the time. I don't know that I could. I just don't know if I could do it anymore. I mean, that's being honest with you.
Yeah.
But, it is fun. I mean, it is neat putting on, a headset that I hadn't had on in 8 years and talking to Rhines, Danny, and, seeing all the P1s, ex-P1s coming out here. It's great. It's wonderful.
But there is always that chance that you might find that at this stage of the game, it's a nice place to visit, but you wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, there is that element.
Yeah, there is.
But you got to turn around and do it again tomorrow.
That's right.
The next day.
Oh,
That's
the
right.
Next day. And there's only
day.
so many times you can book Carmen policy.
That's right.
Right?
Only so many times you can walk out of there thinking, man, we killed it today.
Yeah.
We did the best show that's ever been done. And, boy, you're just feeling great. You're on your way to the elevator, about to head out the door. You get on the elevator. It closes about halfway down. You're like, oh, you mean I got to come in and do this again tomorrow?
Yeah, that's me and Mikey's trip to the parking garage pretty much every day at 7:05. Yeah.
Rocks your world.
It still is, man.
Yeah.
And I'm still relatively new to all day, every day, 4 hours a day. And it's something that you can do for a week or 2 weeks filling in. But when you actually do it every single week, it's pretty jarring, and there's a lot of stuff you need.
I always said you do 4 hours on Monday, kill it.
Yeah.
4 hours on Tuesday, kill it. 4 hours on Wednesday, you're halfway through the week.
Yeah.
So good luck to you on the last two. So
Yeah.
I don't think the listener
But
gets
it's
that,
also not. It's not.
No, I don't think they do either.
because I mean, being that that's the truth, some segments are not going to be as good as others. Some are prepared or a bit or something like that, and sure, those are high points. But there's some filler segments. I mean, you just got to have that.
Well, there's sometimes you wing it, and you know you're going to wing it, and you trust your instincts to make it good. And I'd say some of the times, a lot of the times, those fall flat, and you kind of feel empty afterwards. But then you hit on the gold where you go down a side road, and you stumble on something that you never even expected.
Always a surprise.
Always a surprise, and you walk away going, man, that was good. That was really good. So you got to take the good with the bad, and it's pretty equal amounts in my experience doing this. But, yeah, it's not easy. It's not as easy as it looks, folks.
Yeah, the good is what you remember, though.
Sure. And something that you guys were talking about earlier when we were discussing the beginning of the ticket and how, to me, when it hit its unique starting point was when you started bringing your personal stuff into it, personal stories, anecdotes, things that were relatable. And like you said, people would come up to you all the time, come up to me all the time when I was back at the ticket. And the things that they wanted to talk about, it was never sports. They go, man, I love the ticket. I love E-News and Why Today Doesn't Suck and that bit that you guys did today. They never once said, man, that Cowboys HSO segment you guys had, man, I agree with you on that.
No, it was always the other stuff.
Always, which is cool. One of the things I like about this format, if it even has a format, is it leans more towards that.
Yeah.
Is the stuff that is memorable. Now, granted, you do get into that thing that I was talking about where you're taking a lot of risks, and they don't always work out.
It's a lot of without a net, because with sports you kind of have that net.
Yeah.
You can always go back and rely on it if you need it.
Well, you can't be afraid to fail at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be afraid of that. I mean, because you're going to fail in this business because, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. I mean, you're going to misspeak.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
I never have. But
you're
a
rock solid.
lot of people have misspoke. I never have.
Well, that's why there's scotch, Greggo.
I better stay away from that.
That's right. That's why there is scotch.
That might kick my addictive gene in.
Yeah, let's not. All right, well, we got you guys here. We've done tons of reminiscing, the good and the bad, and I think this has been pretty fascinating. And, again, the reaction we're getting is really positive, of people really enjoying this. And even some people who aren't former listeners of y'all are like, I don't even know who Greg is, but they're kind of fascinated by the stories that we're telling you guys have. But the one thing that you guys always had together was the fighting Texas Rangers. So I think why not? You guys just kick it around, chop it up. It's a pretty exciting time. Money is getting spent. Massive name players are being added to the roster. I would assume I don't need to ask Greg that you are still a big Texas Ranger fan.
I've been waiting for this the whole show.
Hey, take it away. You guys chop it up, man, because it seems like blue skies ahead for the franchise.
Because I'm going to blow some minds right here. I don't often do that.
All right, let's hear it.
I couldn't name 5 players on the Rangers. I could not name 5 players.
How many games did you watch last year?
0. Didn't watch one single baseball game all last year.
I watched my share. I don't know if I watched all of them, but I can name most of the players, and I can also tell you just how bad it was. And make no mistake, it was bad. But things are turning around, maybe.
I mean, the only way that I follow the Rangers, because I don't follow them at all. I mean, I checked out of the sports. I mean, I completely checked out with the exception of football and college NFL and college football. And I just couldn't take it anymore.
So now I don't have anybody to talk baseball with, huh?
Won't take me long to get caught up. But I just, you know what it is, Rhines? And you and I talked about this years ago, is that the game has evolved into a strikeout or a home run.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else in there.
It's turned into a true outcome festival.
And I don't like that. You know, and then you have these, these pitching changes where you go in, that's just to where it just kills the momentum of the game. And I just fell out of love with it. Now, do I love the Rangers? Yeah. And if they get good, am I going to jump back on the bandwagon? You bet. Because I can.
Do you think you're going to like the 3-batter minimum this year?
No, because they're changing the rules of the game. You know, the players should have enough discipline where they don't do nonsense, to where they don't take 2 minutes to throw a pitch.
What's a 3-batter rule?
Whenever you make a pitching change, guys got to face 3 batters.
Gotta face 3 batters.
No more situational pitching changes, huh?
Nope.
But you know what?
But is that tampering with the fabric of the game?
Yes, it is. And to me,
It's tampering with careers. is
and
what
this
it's doing.
nonsense about an extra innings, putting somebody on second base. How do you account?
I hated that.
How do you account for that?
I hated that.
Runs. How do you account for the run? I mean, when we're scoring it on a score sheet, how do you score that?
I don't know.
I mean, everybody. There's a reason
I don't
you
know.
get on base.
I don't know because I didn't score one game last year, and I don't know how those who do score games, like the writers and stuff like that, I don't know how they account for it.
Because you have to account for how every player gets on base, or the whole scorecard is nonsense. So you know that I didn't like that. You know, I think a lot of the players that they are so far away from the fans. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, that dude today, what's that guy that broke the record, Maris's record, Mike Judge?
Aaron Judge.
Yeah,
Judge.
Judge.
Beavis and Butthead?
Yeah, Aaron Judge. I call him Mike Judge.
Yeah, you kind of did.
That'll happen. Oh, that'll happen. But, you know, I mean, they're paying him $40 million a year. How do you do that? I mean, MLB, are they getting Chinese money too?
I don't know.
And
I guess it's in Bitcoin.
It pains me to say that because you know how much I love baseball. Well, I love baseball, but baseball doesn't love me. You know, I didn't leave baseball. Baseball left me.
It's changed a lot, for sure.
And, you know, I saw where the Rangers, they signed a $500 million infield. That guy any good?
Didn't do him much good last year.
You know,
one was okay.
How do you pay middle infielder that kind of money? Is he that good?
Well, I mean, middle of the diamond guys are going to get their money.
Yeah, shortstops and
the shortstop hits home runs.
Well,
so you're a middle of the diamond guy and you hit home runs. You're going to get your money if you got that going for you.
God.
And he had a big previous track record before he got here. Now, last year he got off to a slow start, never really bounced back for it, although he did wind up hitting about as many home runs as he normally does. But I've also heard that he's a really weird guy.
What do you mean weird?
Well, he's got somebody he talks to, some hitting guy that he talks to. And,
that's always bad.
And frequently, after at-bats, he would be down there in the tunnel talking to the guy. And he doesn't listen to the coaches much. He's got his own guys. And the main thing I didn't like about him, though, is last year early in the season when things were going bad, you would see him out there after making the last out or failing to come through in a big situation, and he would have this look on his face. And believe me, I know this look when I see it because I've seen it from guys out there many times over the years. He would have this look on his face that said, "Oh, my God, what have I done? You mean I have left the Dodgers, the greatness of the Dodgers, who go to the playoffs every year and usually the World Series, for this?" And I didn't dig that.
But they got that nice new stadium.
Yeah, they do, and it is nice.
You been?
I haven't been there. I haven't been. No.
You haven't been?
No, I haven't been.
Have you been for an actual game or just to walk around and look
I've been
at it?
for numerous actual games.
Really?
Yeah.
When did you do that?
Several times last year.
Really?
Did you go to the World Series?
No, I didn't go to the World Series when they had it there. But several times last year I went out to games. You know, I was a lowly retiree then, so I had this kind of time on my hands for this sort of thing. And I must tell you that if it has to be, and we can only assume that it does have to be, and if so, I think they did this right. It's a really good place to watch a game. Now, at the end of the day, it is nothing more than a makeup for the one thing they didn't do when they built the temple, and that's that.
The roof.
Yeah. They didn't. I don't know why they didn't do it. Maybe it was too much money. Maybe they didn't have the technology.
Well, it was Schieffer. I mean, he
yeah, I know it was Schieffer, but
he'd seen all those old stadiums like in Baltimore, and he
wanted something to stay true to the fabric of the game. But back then, if the Rangers had been a forward-thinking organization, they could have and should have anticipated the lower tolerance that the masses were going to have for going to games when, after the third inning, it was 9-1, and it was 9 o'clock at night and 101 degrees outside.
You don't have to be forward-thinking to look around and realize you live in a desert.
No, back then you did.
I guess.
They didn't seem to realize it.
Yeah, it just started getting hot about 1980. It wasn't hot before that.
Well, it wasn't the kind of hot then that it is now.
But it was.
It wasn't the kind of hot that it is now.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't quite as hot then.
No, you're just older now and more susceptible to heat.
No, I am not.
Where's your data on this?
All right, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I am older. I am more susceptible to heat.
I mean, I'm with you. I get it.
But you cannot tell me that 93 degrees now feels like 93 degrees in the 90s. It's global warming.
It's the same temperature.
Yeah, it's the same temperature, but it feels different.
Do you know
it's
why?
It's global warming.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is.
All right.
Look it up.
I thought it was climate change now, not global warming.
Well, whatever it is. I call it global warming. You call it whatever you want. To me, it's global warming. It exists. Think about it.
You've been to the
Don't
new
laugh.
Yeah, I've been to the new ballpark.
Yeah, for a game or
I
for
went
like a
to
fish
NL
concert?
No, I didn't go to a fish concert at the new
I don't
ballpark.
know.
I went to the NLCS and the World Series when it was here.
What were your thoughts on it?
Oh my God, it's amazing. As much as it's not striking from the outside or was kind of made fun of online for looking like a big barbecue grill and all that stuff.
Of course.
Dude,
See, that's the difference between now and the temple. Back then, in the time of the temple, when it was built, the Smarmmeisters had no platform. Now they do.
Yeah. No, I love it. As far as in-game experience and even like the concourse and kind of the common areas, you can go deep left field and hang out and mill and still see the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they got everything right. I think it's excellent.
I mean, I haven't walked all around it yet or anything or taken the grand tour or had access to the types of things that we had back in the day at the temple. But from what I can tell, they did do this right. I agree with you on that.
Is this only the third stadium in Rangers history? Is that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is number 3.
Okay. And if you guys had to pick the greatest, I mean, not the greatest of the 3, but I don't know what.
Oh, it's Arlington Stadium.
Arlington Stadium.
Is that
no doubt Arlington Stadium.
You have to
no
say?
doubt. Oh, it was a good stadium. It was an old stadium.
Yeah, 93 felt real good in 1978 on those metal bleachers, right?
Hey, I didn't say it was comfortable.
I was joking. It was a toilet. It was a toilet.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but it was still a toilet. And, it's the place where the ticket kind of came together, so,
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it the All-Star game here next year?
Yeah.
Or 2024.
The year after.
I might sneak into that.
You're just going to sneak in?
Well, I can sneak into anything.
Okay, how's that?
I'm just good at sneaking in.
Okay.
Are you?
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Another big hammer claim.
Okay.
No, I've snuck into Super Bowls.
Come on.
Twice.
How?
Twice. The Super Bowl here that was at Jerry World?
Yeah, the Packers.
I never sent my bag through the X-ray. Every day I'd walk up there and I'd sling it to the side and walked right through. I could have had a bomb in there.
But did you have a ticket or a credential?
I had a credential.
Well, that's not sneaking in.
So you can sneak a bag in.
Yeah.
Okay. But you said you snuck in.
But I did sneak into a Super Bowl. 1989.
All right, but you said you snuck into that Super Bowl.
Well, I kind of misspoke on that. I kind of snuck my bag in. But I did sneak my bag.
What was in the bag?
A bomb.
So you say
I was going to blow it up.
you did sneak in what, 1989? No ticket?
It was in New Orleans.
Okay.
It was
that 49ers Bengals?
49ers and somebody because they won it.
Bronco?
Yeah, 49ers Broncos, yeah. Because Charlie Waters was the defensive coordinator of the Broncos.
Okay, and you snuck in without a ticket.
Well, I had a
just-
credential.
Or you snuck
but
a little bag in.
I had a credential.
Okay.
Well, that's not sneaking in, Greggo.
Okay, all right, okay. Here's
God
the deal.
almighty.
I had a credential, but I put it in my shirt and then walked on the field. So I was on the sideline.
Okay, that's something.
But you're going to sneak into the All-Star game in 2 years, huh?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think I can.
I hope you have a better strategy than the first
Yeah,
two.
boy. Make sure you let us know how that works out for you.
Okay, I will.
If we don't read about it in the paper.
I'll document it.
What's the story of the? Isn't it Miami's or do a cannonball off a bridge or something? What was that?
What?
I remember
Yeah,
that.
I jumped off a bridge.
That he did?
Yes.
Did you do jump off a cannonball off the bridge in Miami?
Yes. And Dan McDowell was supposed to pay me $1,000, and guess what?
No dice?
No dice. He's still welching. Dan McDowell the Welcher. That's his name.
All right. Well, on that note, we have a few questions that we're going to get to here in a minute. So I think people will ask about some of the people of your past and that you've worked with formerly. So I suppose we might as well get to it. It's Fax Fodder Online Edition. People have been sending us questions at Downbeat DFW all day. I got a bunch of them. If you want to send a few in, you still have time for that. That's the last segment of the day, Greggo. He almost made it through a whole damn deal.
Oh.
That's it?
That's it?
I thought you were going to throw out the break. All right, Fax Fodder Online.
Why would he do that?
See, that's...
I'm giving you
that's what
opportunities.
See, that's what I'm getting at.
I'm giving you opportunities.
I can't do this. I'm horrible at it.
All right, one more segment of fun coming up in just a moment.
I listened to you guys from the day you started on the radio together. The ups, the downs, all in between. I've had some issues in my family with something similar to what Greggo's gone through. So hearing you talk about it, it's been hard, but good for me. Thank you.
It's the Downbeat on 97.1 The Freak.
Okay. It is 6:30. Good evening, everybody. You're listening to the Downbeat on 97.1 The Freak.
What'd you ask him?
What?
Those look like women's glasses you're wearing.
No.
They're not?
They're a little bedazzled on the side.
Yeah, they are.
Got
They
little
are.
rhinestones.
I don't like that.
Little rhinestones.
I don't like that. I like everything else about them, but I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, they look like women's
And
glasses.
I'm looking to replace. Okay, they look like women's glasses. So what? They're not. God.
But they look like them.
Okay, they look like them, but they're not.
But they look like them.
For 15 years, nothing's changed.
It's going to be another
I
15
just never
years.
thought you'd be the
Was
type of guy
this
to
that
wear.
great an idea?
I just never thought you'd be the type of guy that wear women's glasses.
Yeah,
They
Mike.
look
You're like
them.
George Costanza.
They
on
look like
Seinfeld.
them, but they're not. How many times do I have to say it?
Maybe a few more.
Okay.
How do you know they're not? Were they labeled men's glasses when
Yes.
you purchased them?
Yes, they were under men's.
Where'd you get them?
I don't remember.
Walgreens?
Probably.
Yeah, those are like unisex. They can be for one or the other.
And somebody could have tried a pair on from the women's section and then set
Well,
them
it's
down
true.
under the
I
side.
don't do
Okay, well-
unisex. I only go one way.
Well, look, I don't endorse this part of them. I endorse everything else about these glasses, but not this.
Well, they look good.
And you're the first one that's ever even brought it up. These guys have seen these a million times.
Well, see, they're not as studied as I am on eyewear. I know a lot about eyewear.
He is very studied.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
you know,
he
now
is-
that he does
he is
bring it
studied.
up, he does point it out. They do look a little feminine on the
I
the
know.
side.
I know.
But see, when you look at you from
All right, I'm
from
replacing
the front,
them in the rotation
I'm glad,
tonight.
I'm glad you were here, Greggo, to point this out because I would have never noticed otherwise.
Well, I mean, it's like rhinestones.
Yeah, like
You know,
Reiner stones.
you know, if we could get you a nudie suit. Does anybody know what a nudie suit is?
Yes,
I'm-
of course.
Yes, we know what a nudie suit is.
I'm showing my age.
God.
I bet Mike doesn't know what a nudie suit is.
I don't know what a nudie suit is. It's like a one piece, like a leotard?
No,
like
yeah.
nude
Think of it
color?
like
It's those
that.
wild rhinestone get-ups.
Yeah,
that
Porter
country
Wagner,
western-
Graham
yeah.
Parsons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Country
we need to get
singers
you
like that wear.
Some guy named Nudie made all those.
Okay, let's get you one of those, and then wear those glasses.
And he made glasses too. And then Ryan's
don't.
bought them.
Ryan's bought the one pair.
Those are nudie glasses.
I'm never wearing these glasses again. I've been wearing these glasses for at least 2 years. These are very sturdy. They've held up very well. And I've been wearing them for 2 years. You guys have seen them. You never said one freaking word about them.
Because
because
the hammer's
because
here.
the hammer.
Well, I would just, if it were me and I liked those glasses, I would just wear them, and the hell with everybody that thought I was wearing women's glasses.
Okay. All
Because
right.
they look like women's glasses.
Okay. They look like women's glasses. And you know what?
What?
I don't give a damn.
Well, see, I wouldn't either. Hell with them.
And if you want to look like a woman, that's fine.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, keep on wearing them.
I got to be me, man.
Keep on wearing them.
All right, so we're going to bring back a Hardline classic at the end of the segment, right? Are we going to give that a shot?
I think so, man.
And it's called the 2-minute drill.
Okay.
We're going to do that on the phones. What's the phone number?
214-787-1971. If you'd like to appear in the last couple of minutes of this segment and this show, 214-787-1971. Call in right now.
Have you given the wrong phone number yet, Ryan's?
No. In fact, I've never given the phone number.
He doesn't know it.
That's one of the good things about
I don't
not
even
taking,
know what it was.
No,
That's one of the
that's
good
the
things
first time
about
I've heard it.
not taking any phone calls.
Yeah, you don't need to give out the number. But right now,
It is 6:39. That can mean one thing and one thing only, that being that it's time for...
Facts Fodder Online.
Yes! We temporarily suspend any and all telephone operations and turn our attention now to missives and communiques received via the miracle of telephonic operations.
Do I go now? I don't know what the rules are.
Everybody in the world would
There's
say
no rules.
telephone except Ryan.
We just
gotta
gotta-
go with telephonic.
this is where we just start reading faxes.
All right, I have faxes that I've received on Twitter. You are trending in DFW. Greggo is trending. I don't know how often
Is it?
that's
All
happened.
right. All right. You like to trend, Greggo?
How do you feel about trending, Greggo?
What is that?
That means you're one of the biggest and most talked about topics in all of DFW right now.
That means you're happening, man.
Oh, I'll be
like,
damned.
like people are searching you on Twitter.
Oh, I'll be damned.
Yep.
Really?
They're looking for
Now,
your ass.
I am on Twitter.
I know. You misspelled your first name.
Boy, that's another thing.
He's Geg Williams.
Yeah, why is it that?
The
Why'd you leave the R out?
I misspelled it.
All right, well,
He's
go back
stuck with
and
it.
fix it.
You can't do that.
You can't go
No.
back.
No.
You got to start another.
He's Geg Williams. He left the R
I
out.
forgot that.
Well, Greggo, what happened to your TCU white trash?
Okay, well, that's another deal.
Oh, God.
You know?
All right, what's
when
the
you-
other deal here?
when
There's
you-
always another deal.
There's a deal. Whenever you have a girlfriend
Oh, boy.
that sets up your iPad and all your accounts, make sure you get the password because she might not be with you forever. And then you won't have the password like I don't for TCU White Trash.
All right, so now you're just Geg Williams.
Yeah. 20,000 followers right down the train. Now I've got like 2,000.
All right, Fax Fodder Online. Again, some of these might be uncomfortable. I don't know, man. I'm not going to filter this thing, so we're just
No,
going
no,
to
go for it.
Don't filter.
Go
it.
for
All
it.
right, Reverend and Reprobate Show asks, which guy at the ticket, if any, does Greggo have a grudge against?
None.
None whatsoever.
None. Wait a minute. I may dig somebody up. There's got to be somebody I hate from up there. A ticket chick or something. I can't think of one.
Okay, I mean, Anonymous says, ask Greggo his thoughts on Corby. Does he feel like Corby stabbed him in the back in any way?
Not at all. Not at all.
CeeLo, the producer, says, I used to do maintenance at the Village Apartments. I heard the Hammer was in the bathroom ingesting a substance at a ticket event, and that was the last straw. After that, Greggo was gone, and we started hearing, don't come out here, Cat. Was that really how it all ended?
True. That's true.
Ticket
I
event?
got to fess up to that.
Well,
Yeah, you answered that in the all-staff meeting after you went away for a month. I believe that question was asked in there about the Village incident.
well, elaborate
And,
a little if you
made
don't mind.
George was real mad. Greggo, I may or may not have done a little a bump in the the bathroom at Summer Bash, right?
Oh, I did it. I mean, I wish I could deny it, but I can't.
Well, did you get
Yes.
busted doing it?
No, I think Corby heard him, or somebody heard him and told Corby. I don't remember.
it wasn't good.
It wasn't. Yeah.
It wasn't good, but I did it. Yeah.
Yep.
Lifelong PCU fan. Some of these I don't understand, so they may be nonsensical. What instrument did Gary Stewart tell Greggo he played?
Lead guitar. He got out of the car, and he already had his guitar strapped on, and he was getting out and ready to play. He walked in there, plugged in, and started playing.
The Gary Stewart?
Yeah, he was playing at a club I was bartending at.
Oh, okay.
And then he pulled up in like a Lincoln Town car, and he got out, and he was all Gary Stewarted out, with the hat and the jacket, and he had his guitar on. He was ready to go. And drunk? Good God, he was drunker than me after 105 beers.
All right, Ben Wrong. Will you ask the Hammer how he was able to call into the show with his OnStar? I could never figure that out after all these years.
And I don't either. That was another idiotic move that I thought I could pull over everybody because I didn't have my cell phone.
Cell phone was lost.
Yeah, I didn't have my cell phone. But I did have that OnStar thing that I didn't know how to operate, which became very obvious.
H.E. Pennypacker, can Greggo describe what a night at the Tub Club was like?
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
Those are great. You go there and go to Confetti and, pick up some broad and go over there and rent you a hot tub.
Splash around in your own filth?
Yeah.
Or somebody else's
that
filth?
somebody else did.
Yeah.
4 or 5, other couples were in there.
Gross, Greggo.
Yeah, it was good. It was wonderful.
Fill me in. What is the Tub Club? Is it hot tubs that we?
It was back in the old days that not everybody had a hot tub, and you could go to this place and you could rent one, and they had them in these little rooms,
little private rooms, right?
Yeah. And if you splurged, you could get the one that was shaped like Texas, and they had porn in there.
And how many people would fit in there?
Oh, we had 4 or 5 in there once.
So 4 or 5 is the biggest single tub party?
Well, we didn't want it too crowded.
Right.
We didn't want to.
I've heard of many more than that.
Did you ever attend the Tub Club, Mike?
No, I never did.
But he knew where it was.
Yeah, sure. Everybody did.
It was in the parking lot of right there at Lovers in Greenville.
Yeah, Central Market.
Yeah, Central Market now.
What do you mean parking lot? Oh, that's the location of the building was.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually, there was a club called Confetti that I used to bartend at. And
That place was wildly popular, right?
Was it ever?
Yeah.
Was it ever?
Before my time.
Boy, if you couldn't pull something out of there, you had your dingus on backwards.
The Hammer.
All right, fake Natalie Maines. I used to call into the 2-minute drill and reference all kinds of words for weed, and it drove Danny crazy. I think it said they invited me to a remote at TMS and put the headphones on me to ask me to say all kinds of weed references. Greggo asked him for that because he was on the air. It drove Danny crazy, and Danny couldn't hang up on him. Any recollection of any of this?
No. But it sounds like something I do.
That's got to be a guy named Randy that used to say weed things on the 2-minute drill. Yeah.
Greenville Crow, will they be doing trivia for the simulation flight business over by Six Flags?
Sim Fighters.
Is that?
That's it. Sim Fighters.
Boy, we destroyed that place.
What does that mean? So you guys got hired to do a remote at Sim Fighters?
No, they spent their entire advertising budget with us.
Yeah.
And it didn't really work out for them.
Oh, man.
Didn't really work out.
We did all we could, but not too many people were into what they were doing.
All right, last one we got before we go to the phones. Blinking Dog, Greggo, and your exit from the ticket, did they pay you a big severance? Otherwise, how is it you have all these Rolexes?
I really can't get into that.
Yeah?
I really can't get into that.
That's fair.
I'm afraid the lawyers will get involved.
Oh, you probably had to sign a NDA, huh?
Yeah, I did.
Statute of limitations has not run out?
Probably so, but I hadn't kept up with it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah,
All right, we'll do
no need to risk it.
Texas Ann goes last. Legit question. Ask Greg if he wants to stay retired or if he'd go back into radio full-time given the right situation. Thanks for doing this.
I can't go back to radio because it's all I can do right now to not cuss.
Yeah.
And
you done pretty well here.
Yeah, none.
And I'm having to think about it, too.
Yeah.
I've only had to dump him once, and it was before this show technically began.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Good job, Greggo.
Yeah.
The off-mic F-bomb.
But, all right. But with this, the new rules and what you can say and what you can't say on the air.
You know what you can say on this station?
I'm just a dinosaur.
You know what you can say on this station that we couldn't say at the other one? Butthole.
Oh, you said butthole?
Yeah.
Look at them.
Yeah, it's anatomical.
Yeah.
All right. 3-minute drill, right?
Yeah.
Instead of 2?
Or the 2.5-minute drill.
What do we need? You got some...
Yeah, you got a little speech you have to say. We're going to do the 2.5-minute drill.
Is there any way
We're just going to go into it right now?
Oh, you got a little... Yeah, you got it, right?
Is there any way I can try on your women's glasses?
He's beaten 4 hours, and he's oh my god, and the side eye, all the hard work we've done, and then we're gonna. That's how he's.
And I'm gonna blow it on readers.
How many times you seen that
readers.
15 years
of course
you
can.
All right, Mike, give him the rules.
Well, look, man.
All right, here's how we do this.
I know.
You get 30 seconds, or until we determine that your stories become tiresome, whichever happens first. Start whatever you have to say with the words, I think that. Be ready to go when we come to you. Turn your radio down. Don't ask us how we are and expect nothing from us by way of response or reply. Adhere to these 6 simple edicts, and this can go wherever you like. That is the first time in years that I've said that.
And you nailed it.
Of course he did. You got a whistle, Groobs?
We ready?
do it.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go. Oh, my God.
Okay, we're not going to put up with this crap.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go. You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
Can we get the clothes off, bitch?
Up.
They don't know the rules.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go. I knew this was not going to work. You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go. You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
Hey, Greggo.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go. You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
I just think that I'm looking forward to next White Elephant when Rhino reunites with Rocco Pindola and the bloated ghost of Russ Martin.
That'll be the freaking day. You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
I think that this is Johnny Unitas and I've lost my socks.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go. You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
La Bella.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
I think I am a computer.
You know, there's no other way to put this. This is a fail bit.
It's no different than it was 20 years ago.
Yes,
not like those
it
went
is.
well either.
20 years ago, people knew how to do it. You don't do something for 20 years, they don't remember. They don't care.
Like me and sex. I totally forgot.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
I think that what is Jen Olsen's favorite Christmas gift? A sweater.
Golly. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good Lord. Wow, that's not even funny, but it cracked me up.
I know. A sweater.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go.
I think that Corby should be a salesman for Cutco knives. Backstabber.
You're on the 2-minute drill. Go. And you got the last word. Go.
I just think that I'm going to smoke a big old bag of pot. Love you, Danny.
I remember that.
Remember that guy?
There's our guy. There's our guy.
That is brilliant.
Oh, boy. What a way to cap this off.
Hit the theme, Expo.
That's going to do it for us for today. We do thank you very much for your time and attention this afternoon. Thanks to Yvonne out here at Twisted and Tweaking. Thanks to the folks out here at the Diamond Factory for having us out. We had a great time. Thanks to all of you for dropping by. Back at the mothership, thanks to Shoopy at the helm. And thank you guys on the phones for allowing us to invade your personal space. Now, do stay tuned, because on the way we got, something. Check that out. Be by the channel tomorrow at 3 when we are back with another edition of the Downbeat.
Thank you, Hammer.
Mike.
Thank you, Greggo.
Hey, I can't even put it in words, so I'm not going to try.
Enjoyed it, brother.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
all right.
That was badass.
That was. All right, till tomorrow, you guys stay hard, keep jamming, and we'll see you.